Hello and welcome to the first ever edition of the Reality Vomit podcast. This is a big deal for me because podcasting about reality television is something I've tried to do a couple of times with strategic gaming that will be removed from this channel eventually, and that those won't exist anymore. And I tried to do Reality Vomit by myself, and I think with one person, a podcast didn't work as much. Like, it was more of just like, it would have been a better like video series, but I wanted to actually like take a lot of time and mow over these things, but I wanted to have a host to have a dynamic, and that ended up being my girlfriend, Emily. She had never seen like reality television before as far as like these game shows go. So she's coming in with a fresh perspective, and I come in as like this guy who's seen all these shows, and I may have a little bit of a jaded perspective because I've had so much content in my brain of all these shows. So we're covering the first season of Survivor. We're kind of going to go in chronological order, covering certain shows. So, it's going to be a monthly podcast. And unlike my other two podcasts, this is not weekly because they're so long and there's so much having to watch the entire season, in my case twice, to get the notes and the research and just the time it takes to make a Reality Vomit podcast as compared to the Film Vomit podcast or the Wrestle Vomit podcast. It's significantly more. So once a month is fine. So, this podcast is going to go for a long time before we ever get caught up with the reality television shows of like coming out today. So, we're going to be talking about things from the past, but we're really going to go over, my takes on them as someone who's seen them before, and her takes on someone who has never seen these shows before. So we really hope you enjoy it. It's something we've been looking forward to doing and talking about doing, and are finally now able to do as a couple. And it's something we enjoy being able to create together. So without further ado, let's get into the Reality Vomit podcast. Hello and welcome to the Reality Vomit podcast, an extension of the Vomit series of podcasts. My name is Mac Taylor. This is Emily, and we're a real couple talking reality television. So we're trying to do this thing in like chronological order, in a way, because the setup for this podcast, I've tried to talk about reality TV in the past on podcasts, but I haven't really found the right formula. But I decided I've seen a lot of these shows, some of them multiple times. Emily hasn't seen like any of them, so it'd be an interesting perspective to have me as like a reality veteran and her as like someone coming in fresh, to start at the beginnings of a lot of reality TV and work our way forward eventually to a modern day perspective. It's going to take a long time to get there, but we have a lot of content we can churn out because of that. But we're starting at Survivor because I think that's the most interesting start, I think. And so we have Survivor Borneo, which premiered in the year 2000, before Emily was born, and when I was like really, really young. So, neither of us watched this when it premiered, obviously. My parents didn't even watch this, actually. I think my parents jumped in on season 2. But this was like a huge global phenomenon, and it's interesting to look back at, now 22 years later, and seeing kind of like how it stacks up. For me, how it stacks up to like modern day Survivor, and then for Emily, this is her first exposure to Survivor. So Emily, what was your take on your first Survivor season?
I mean, it was very interesting. It was pretty basic with the, I guess, like I can't think of the word that I'm trying to say.
Strategy? No.
Like the way they did it, like, it was very much just like, we're gonna put you on an island and you're gonna survive, and that was essentially it.
Well, they didn't know.
They didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
I know that, but like, it was just very much like, this is what you're watching, which is fine. It was good. It was entertaining. I enjoyed it, but I'm interested to see where it goes from here.
Mm-hmm. And even really what you'll see from like season 1 to season 2, it's pretty different. Because I think pretty much by season 2, they know what the show is. and they keep that going. Like, it does evolve, it does change, like anything will over a couple of decades. Obviously, you can't do the same thing for that long, for that many seasons, but it's interesting that this first season is probably the most different than any other American Survivor season because of how Jeff didn't know what he was doing. The contestants don't know what they're doing except for Rich. And the production doesn't know what they're looking for. Everyone's just here kind of going, like, they're really just going up by the seat of their pants. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting to kind of look at that from that perspective. I
am interested to see, like, the growth that happens with the series and how it evolves and everything.
Mm-hmm. And it's because I rewatched Survivor when the Winners of War season was happening, because there was like a build up to it. So, and then my roommate DJ had not watched it, so we went through from 1 to 39, just like did it in a row over the course of like 9 months. Like we really got through a lot of Survivor. It's like every night watching like 4 or 5 episodes.
It's a lot.
There was a couple of days where we did a season in a day. Yeah, it was a lot of Survivor, a lot of deep cut watching, and you see that progression. But I'm interested to see your perspective, because you've seen like one season of Survivor and you've seen the modern day Big Brother season, but we'll cover that down the line. Yeah. But so you have this and like maybe 2 other things to go off of when it comes to reality TV.
Yeah.
So like that's what interests me the most is your take on it. Because like I'm like a lot of other like reality TV fans. I'm kind of like hardened by it.
Yeah.
Like it's not as much of an interesting watch for me.
Yeah.
Especially Borneo. I've seen Borneo now like 5 times because I've covered it on like a podcast that I did before. I bought the DVD. So like I watched it. I've seen Borneo way too many times as compared to some of the other seasons. And it's not one of my favorite seasons, but I keep having to watch it. So now, once we do this podcast, I hope I can just be done with Borneo for like a long time. I hope for years to come, I don't have to watch Borneo anymore. Yeah. And it's not that it's a bad season. It's just bare bones, and I have seen it too many times.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, let's dive into it. Let's get into the episodes here. Get into all my notes. So, just like any other Survivor season, almost, there are 2 tribes. There's 16 people, which is going to be up until, I believe, season 8. The number of contestants. Then it changes to 18 and then to 20. But now it alternates between 18 and 20.
Gotcha.
But 16, I feel like, is that sweet spot number.
Yeah.
Because you get to know the whole cast.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think seasons, when you have too many people, you're trying to get them all eliminated and kind of get it going, and you kind of lose. Because Survivor, or especially early Survivor, is very character-oriented. Even with like the first boot Sonya here, we do know things about her.
Yeah.
Like, we know the ukulele thing. Mm-hmm. She's a sweetheart. She's one of, I believe, the first openly lesbian reality show contestant in the history of reality TV.
Yeah.
To my knowledge. Not the first openly gay contestant. That's the Real World that has that acclamation.
Yeah.
But I believe this was the first openly lesbian contestant, which is cool for the year 2000.
Good for
There's some not good stuff in this season when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But there are 2, openly gay contestants, and it's kind of funny because one is the first boot and the other one wins the season.
Yeah.
So there's like an interesting... And Sonya was not voted off due to that reason. She was just an older lady that just was not built for Survivor.
Yeah.
But we have content for her, whereas some other seasons, the first boots, we really don't know much about. Like, you kind of forget they were on the show, and you're like, oh, who is that person?
They just like, hey, here's this person, and then, okay, bye.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because there'll be some seasons we get to, and I'm like, wait, who is that? Because like on Survivor Reddit and stuff, sometimes I'll see like casts pop up, and I'll look and I'm like, wait, who the fuck was that person? Because there's not as much content. Because the strategy does become a big part of the game, and sometimes it'll take away from the character-based part of the game. But we have two tribes. We have Tagi and Pagong. Both tribe names will become very important to the lore of Survivor, because Pagong becomes a very negative term to Survivor, and the Tagi 4, which is the kind of pseudo name for the alliance, Survivor does not name alliances, whereas Big Brother does.
Yeah.
Don't know why that became a thing. But people it's easy to refer to it as the Tagi 4.
Yeah.
So Tagi gets mentioned for that reason, and Pagong gets mentioned as picking off a tribe systematically.
What not to do.
It's called a Pagonging.
Yeah. When
you take out a tribe one by one. But in Tagi, we have Rich, Rudy, Sue, Sonia, Kelly, Stacy, Sean, and Dirk. And on Pagong, we have Greg, Colleen, Jervis, Gretchen, Joel, Bibi, Ramona, and Jenna. And then this season starts, actually, like, this stays in a lot of Survivor seasons, which is called the Marooning, which everyone's on a boat, grab a whole bunch of shit, throw it off the boat, and get going. Like,
yeah,
it's a chaotic open, and I think is kind of why it became, like, a staple. Pretty much any Survivor season that has a big body of water, this is a thing. Now, in seasons like Australia and Africa, you couldn't do this. So it's not the marooning like this, but in most seasons you'll see this. Like, everyone's on the boat, time to get going. And this season also is like super big on talk about rats. Like, this is like the most rat heavy.
Yeah.
It even goes to the theming of the tribe name at the merge, and becomes kind of like the label of Kelly at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So snakes and rats are big in the Borneo lore.
Lots of metaphors.
Mm-hmm. But there are literally a lot of rats on this island.
Yes.
And like I said, more so than we ever really see in any other Survivor season. Like, they're crawling all over people. The contestants are eating them at certain points. There's just a lot of rat speak.
Yeah.
And I think, it definitely is like an early Survivor thing of like, look at what they have to eat, which really, they have a lot of food.
Yeah.
On this season. That does not ever happen again. They have like canned goods, like fruit and shit. Mm-hmm. They were given fruit, but I mean, that does happen at some starts of the seasons. They have rice. They get a lot of food, which they still run through. But like some other seasons, they're just given rice. Like that pot of rice, and then that's it.
Yeah. Good
luck.
Just do what you can.
Yeah. Whereas in this one, they kind of gave them a care package.
Yeah.
So, it's one way of an early Survivor. It can't be like, well, back in our day, we had to... Because, no, this season, they got a lot of food.
It's like, you guys were spoiled on that first season. Everyone else has to fight for...
It's like, as the seasons go on, they get less and less and less, and then it gets to a point where it's like, maybe we should give them a little more. I think these people are dying.
Yeah, we don't want people to die on the show.
There's a balance, because, the show wants to see how far they can push people, and they don't want to kill anybody.
Yeah.
And then, so Rudy is like a soundbite machine for Survivor Borneo. Like, pretty much everything he says is like a quotable thing.
Yeah.
Like, here in the first episode, he has that line where he's like, I don't even know what MTV stands for. And like, Rudy is 76 or something like that.
Yeah.
So he's one of the oldest Survivor players on this season. He plays again. But for as Rudy as he is, he understands he's the odd one out. He has to try he doesn't really do a great job of blending in, but he understands that, like, he's going to have to do some work.
Yeah.
If he's going to stay. And we even see this in the first few episodes. Rudy's a target.
Yeah.
Because he's grumpy old man.
But he's so iconic.
It's very much, yes.
It's great.
You know, it was a big loss a couple years ago when he passed away.
Yeah.
Because he was still even, like, to this day, like, super quotable. And yes, a lot of his things that he says are not politically correct. But he was friends with Rich.
Yeah.
Till the day he died. He votes for Rich in the end.
He's true to his word.
Yes.
He's a good friend.
And, like, you know, for a 76-year-old, like, Navy SEAL to even entertain the idea of befriending a gay guy, that's progress.
Yeah.
You know?
In 2000 especially.
Exactly. Like, so yes, a lot of the things he says, like, he uses the word queer a lot. He is like, oh yeah, I'm friends with Rich, but not in a homosexual way. Things like that. Like, yeah, from a modern day perspective is not okay. But because he's such an old man and is also, like, not being an asshole to these people that he's saying this shit about, it's, you know, it is that thing of like, oh, it's just Rudy.
Yeah.
Whereas Sean says some things, and Dirk says some things, and they're like, very much not okay, because they're people in their, like, 20s. So, you know, it's different when a 76-year-old man says it and when, like, a 28-year-old doctor says these things.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rudy's the and then we get, this to me is an iconic scene for Survivor, which is Rich, like, he's perched on a tree.
Yeah.
And he's, like, talking down to everyone. He's like, we need to figure out how we're going to communicate. And, you know, he's, like, kind of belittling people.
Yeah.
And then Sue's like, that's not going to work out here in the bush. This isn't corporate America. But to me, like, that's, when I think about Borneo, I think about Rich in the tree. Because it is kind of like how the season plays out. He's on a different level.
Yeah.
Than everyone else is. Even the people he'll eventually work with. He understands what... He knew what Survivor was going to be before Survivor knew what it was going to be. Like, he really does... And part of that is him winning.
Yeah.
But he really understood, this is a game. I'm here to win money. A lot of money.
This is how I need to do it.
This is how I need to do it. Because Rich... From a modern Survivor perspective, Rich doesn't do anything particularly villainous. He doesn't lie to anybody, except when Jeff tries to call them out on their alliance, which is, like, really bad.
I mean, did he say anything about it, or was it just Sue? Because I thought he asked Sue the question.
He asked Sue, but Rich also kind of tries to, like, sweep it under the rug. Like, no, we are not talking about this.
Which, I mean, how are you going to outright be like, hey, are you guys an alliance? Because that defeats the whole purpose of an alliance.
Which Jeff learns immediately. But yeah, like there's some tribal councils weird. This you're just going to hear this a lot in this podcast. Things are just really weird with how they're set up. Like, for the first, like, half, the cuts between the beaches had that sound. It's like super. Sound. I hate that sound so much. But it goes away and never... That part of it never... The sound does come back, but not for that.
Not for every single cut.
Not every single cut. God. But, like, Rich keeps his word, purposely does things so that he doesn't have to lie. He made the alliance of 4. They rode that 4 to the end. And he didn't have to make the decision on who to take to the end. Rich never, you know... He did what he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
Most Survivor villains are backstabbers, liars, do crazy shit. Rich isn't really a modern day villain. He played Survivor at its barest of bones.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy that this season is so much like, oh, I can't believe Rich is making alliances. That's so evil. And it's like, but in season 2, it's very much like, yes, alliances are necessary.
Yeah. We
need to use those.
I also like how Rudy wasn't on board with the alliance at first, but then he realized, he's like, well, yeah, if I want to win, this would be the way.
Because it makes sense.
Like, yeah, if I vote by myself, like, there's a possibility I could get the person that I want out. But if I know for a fact that this group of people is also going to vote for that same person, then it's definitely going to happen.
Just getting the numbers.
Yeah.
It's all it is. It's simple math.
It's a numbers game.
But yeah, even someone like Rudy immediately realizes that if you want to guarantee yourself the game, you have to kind of step outside of what you would normally do. Survivor isn't life. It's a game for a big sum of cash.
Yeah.
But some people treat it like, oh no, how you act in Survivor is how you would act in real life. In real life, you're not starving on an island.
In real life, you're not like
forced
fighting
to vote someone out. Like this, it's a microcosm. Sure, some people are willing to do more than others to accomplish goals. Yes, but you can't really be super mad at somebody for playing the game that they signed up to play, which is Rich's big points of like, we all signed up for this game. We knew we would have to vote people out. Apparently, you guys just didn't think that much into it. I did.
Yeah.
Rich also is one of the first people to say, like, I'm going to win Survivor.
And then actually
But then he does. I don't... Because no one else really says, like, which they might have. They just might not have put that in. But even in his application, he was like, I'm going to win this game.
Yeah.
And they kind of put him on the show to be like, to show how cocky he was, and then him have a downfall, and they'd be like, haha, look at him, he lost.
Then he was like...
But he won the whole thing, and kind of proved everybody wrong.
Mm-hmm. He's the most, like, out-of-pocket character, too. Like, just how he would be walking around nude on the beach, like, every other day or so. But, like, he was also showing that he was useful whenever he would go fishing and everything and bring back food. Even when they didn't win the food prizes, they still had, like, a good amount of food to go around. Which he uses to his advantage in later episodes.
But I think some people's takeaway for a long time in Survivor is that Rich getting fish contributes to his success in the game, which is not the case at all.
Not necessarily
his
true.
alliance is what guaranteed his win.
Yeah.
Yes, him providing
helped.
fish helped a little bit, but people still wanted him out.
Yeah.
Just because he caught fish doesn't mean that they would let him get to the end of the game.
I mean, especially when the troops merged. I mean, Colleen couldn't stand him. Because he was
They would have
so
voted
cocky
him out
and
if they had the chance.
Yeah.
So, I think people, especially in, like, the next few seasons, they think, like, they're, like, so focused on getting food, thinking that that's going to cement their place.
Yeah.
And it really, if you're not in a good strategic place, you'll get voted out.
It's like, yeah, it'll help get people to like you, but that doesn't necessarily
Especially
mean that
early
you're
on.
good at the game.
Like, yeah, and those first couple of votes, anything you can do to keep yourself out of the line of fire, sure. But, like, when it comes down to the merge, no one gives a shit that you catch fish. It's all about getting to the end of the game and maximizing your chances of winning.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think for a while people took the wrong thing away from Rich's game, and the fishing thing kind of a little bit overshadowed his strategy, even though that's what won him Survivor. We also get early on, Kelly and Stacy are like super close on Tagi. And Sue, they want Sue because they want to do this like women's alliance thing. Although they really don't get Sonia in on it as much. Sonia votes with Kelly and Stacy.
Yeah.
But I don't know if she was really like fully in. But Sue never liked Stacy. A lot of people didn't like Stacy, which is so funny that she's the only person to try to sue Survivor. Because I think Stacy was really kind of cocky.
Yeah.
She came in and thought she could run the gambit. Thought that getting rid of someone like Rudy would be a no-brainer, but, ultimately she lost that way.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back on Pagong, Ramona's, like, dying immediately.
Yeah.
Which I don't know at what point she got sick. I think it might have been just on the boat ride she got seasick. And then it just kept getting worse because she couldn't keep food down. And so really it's shown early on. Ramona's an athlete, but I don't think she's built for the game of Survivor.
Yeah.
And you can't dock her for not knowing that, because this is season 1 of Survivor.
Like, nobody knew what they were getting into.
And it was just a rough take, like a rough shake, that she got sick at a very crucial point of game.
Yeah.
And then for the whole rest of the time is way behind everyone else when it comes to relationships and, you know, work ethic and all these other things. Because she's trying to, you know, get through the day.
She's trying to survive.
Yeah, literally survive. And some people like BB are like really hard on her for
Giving her a hard time the whole entire time.
And it's like, you can't be mad at someone for, if they can't even like drink water or eat food, they're not going to work. Like, that's not how that works. Just like when you have the flu, you don't go to work at your construction job. Like, it doesn't work that way. But Ramona and BB do have this moment early on, which is like maybe the most game BB ever says, which is that because their water hole is like, and this is one of the only times this is the thing, it's like so far away from that. They have to walk like so many miles,
trek through the woods
to carry this water back. And he's like, well, since we're the only people that know where it's at, we could like keep it a secret, and then they won't vote us off. Which is like, yeah, they'll just find out where it is anyway. But he was thinking a little bit, even though it was a joke. He was like starting to put things together. That was the only time.
That was the only time he was thinking, because then like literally the next clip was him washing his own clothes with the fresh drinking water,
which he still defends in like the reunion. He's like, you know, we all did it. And everyone's like, no, you're the only one.
That was our only supply of, like, actually drinking water. There's an ocean right there.
There's an ocean. There's, you know, there's, like, literally so many other sources of water we don't drink.
It's like, nobody is expecting you to smell good at any point in this game. We don't have any way to really, like, clean ourselves.
And now we have to drink your sweat.
Yeah. In fact, Pagong went to the whole, like, mud pile, and so it's like, that's not gonna smell good after a while.
And then so we get a clip of Sonya and her ukulele. She sings a little song. But we also see that she's getting, like, banged up because she's an older person who has thinner skin and bleeds more. And you get banged up when you're outside working, building a shelter, all these things. So she kind of knows early on, like, I might be in trouble because I'm the older person and I'm clearly, like, the least physical person on this tribe.
Yeah.
And Grumpy BB, he has this 2-episode arc of he wants to build, like, this house. It's not even like a shelter. It's like a large... It's like the biggest structure I've ever seen.
So close to the water.
Yes. Which he wants to build it on the beach, even though Gretchen tried to explain to him, like...
If we do it in the woods, we'll have more coverage.
When it rains and everything, the tide will come up.
Yeah.
This will get washed away. Which does happen later on. So... Because Gretchen was, like, a survivalist. Like, she'd done, like, these, like, living in the woods challenges and things. So, like... But because he was like, oh, I have construction companies, it's like, yes, you can probably build a very solid structure. But that's not what we came here to do. We just need something that we can live in till the merge. We don't need a mansion.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's just very early on, his ego gets in the way very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Because him and Joel are arguing a lot. Because it's a battle of two guys wanting to be in charge. Because Joel's very much like an alpha male guy. And BB's like used to being in charge of things. And they just constantly clash. And
it's just so funny that Greg was the one that people were like, he's kind of like our leader.
Between Greg and Gretchen. Because Gretchen had all the insights of like really good survival tips.
Yeah.
And Greg kept everyone's morale up. Just by like joking around and just being goofy. Everyone gravitated toward him as compared to the yelling old guy or like the macho.
Like, you're not doing it right.
Yeah. He's like, if I want advice on how to build a fitness club, I'll talk to you. And it's
Like, why is that the only thing that he could have, like,
because Joel was like a...
Yeah, I know.
Health guy. But yeah, it's some pretty good BB content early on, for sure. And Gretchen is the only one that really tries to work with BB and like keep him like, you need to take a break and maybe you should chill out a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, this is a game where people will vote someone out.
And if you get on their nerves, they're going to vote you out.
And BB starts fire with his glasses because he actually, his luxury item, he had like these, his glasses were like designed for like essentially starting fires because they're like the double kind of paned glasses or whatever. Mm-hmm. So he had some good ideas. He's just very bad at socializing.
Yeah.
Because he's like a former politician and like he owns all these companies. He's used to being the boss, like undisputed. And when you're in the middle of the jungle, it does not matter how much money you have. It does not matter your successes in life. It's everyone's on an equal playing field. And he never quite understood that.
It's like you're just trying to figure out how to make it through the night.
Yeah, and he never got that. He thought he shouldn't have had to acclimate with these younger people. But unlike Rudy, BB never got it.
Yeah.
And they're about the same age, I think.
Yeah, I think they were close. I think
BB's a little younger than Rudy.
Yeah.
Both are now gone.
Yeah.
But BB was like a long time ago. Rudy was fairly recent. Yeah. So we have the first immunity challenge, which is, again, a very basic challenge. The challenge is, in this season, you could tell they're very much on a budget.
Yeah.
They do get a little more extravagant. Now they have their own, like, construction crew that are literally, their job is to design, build, and, like, test these challenges.
Yeah.
Because at first, I think it was just Jeff and like the producer who tested them.
They're like, we'll figure it out.
And then now there's like a literal team of like 4 or 5 people that they get paid to run these challenges beforehand and make sure they're not super dangerous. Even though there are a few that make it through that should not have made it through.
Yeah.
But this one is very simple. You get on a raft, you get fire, you bring fire back, and you light fire. So this Survivor challenges in the future tend to be 2 parts. Mm-hmm. Because this, if you, as we see happens, if you fall behind for a second, like you make one mistake, that's it.
Yeah.
The challenge is over. Whereas usually it's like a physical thing and a puzzle. Mm-hmm. So if you fall behind, you can usually catch up at the puzzle if you don't fuck up.
Yeah.
So, you know, the challenges will become balanced more later. But this one, literally both tribes are neck and neck. Sonya slips in the water. They maybe are like dropped for like 5 seconds. And it gives Pagong just enough to be a little bit ahead.
Yeah.
And they win the first immunity challenge. So Pagong wins immunity. And it's weird to not have Jeff narrate the challenge. This is something that always happens. Yeah. And there's like music, like stock music playing, and it'll say like Tagi or Pagong leading and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's weird just how like quiet it is, because now, even in season 2, Jeff is like, oh, this tribe's in the lead, and all, you know, so he would have been like, Sonya fell down, that's really gonna cost, you know, Jeff gets into it, and in this one, he's just like standing there.
He's just watching.
Very odd. And then even when they win, he's like, all right, Pagong, congratulations, you've won immunity. Tagi, I'm gonna see you guys at Tribal Council.
Just very monotone, relaxed.
Jeff's almost like the 17th contestant in these first couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Like, he's kind of like, he's like, hey, we're on the same playing field. And then, like, probably by season 5, he's like, I am the boss.
Don't talk to me.
You guys are the contestants. Like, especially in season 5, you'll see Jeff just, he has enough of people. And there's also this weird thing with these early challenges where they make them go get the idol. We'll be like, oh yeah, you won immunity, but the totem's at that island, it's like a paddle away, and they gotta go like get the thing. Weird, because now Jeff's just like, is holding the thing.
Yeah.
When they win, he'll be like, you know, Pagong wins immunity, and he hands the idol to someone. Like,
It's not an extra task.
Yeah,
to,
like, congratulations on winning this physical challenge. Go swim out to this island. Like,
go do more physical things.
Yeah, it's like, fuck off, Jeff.
It's like, I'm tired. Can I take a break real quick?
So we get a little bit of like the tidbit of me dropping my notes of Rich and Rudy kind of bonding early on. But the girls want to target Rudy, Stacy, and Kelly. Mm-hmm. And Sonia, I think, is just like, as long as it's not me.
Yeah.
I'll vote whoever you say. Because Sonia kind of realizes, like, I lost that one for sure.
Yeah.
It very well could be me. And then Rudy knows that, like, some of these girls don't get along with me. I'm probably on the chopping block. So everyone's kind of aware heading into this, except for Rich, ironically. He's the only one that's not aware of where this vote's going.
Yeah.
But the votes come out. Sonia is the first person voted out as Survivor. Sweetheart, she was not built for Survivor. She should have been on some other show. Because she seems like a genuinely interesting person.
Yeah.
But it's like, this was not the show for her to come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rich voted for Stacy. Which will come up later, but Stacy thinks that Rudy voted for her.
Which makes her even more mad at Rudy.
Mm. Stacy voted for Rudy. Rudy voted for Sonia. Sue voted for Sauna. She spelled it Souna. Not the last time that Sue will misspell someone's name.
Yeah.
Kelly voted for Rudy. Dirk and Sean voted for Sonia, and Sonia voted for Rudy. So yeah, it seems like Rich was the only person that was not filled in on what was happening.
Like the two options that there were.
Mm-hmm. But it kind of benefits him because Stacy is still mad at Rudy.
Yeah.
But Rich was the one that voted for her all along. So he does kind of benefit accidentally from doing this. So we head into episode 2. Everyone's talking about how hungry they are. But again, there is so much food. Stacy's mad at Rudy over the votes. There's a line about that Colleen has where she's like, everyone wants a BB action figure because he's so quotable. I'm like, Survivor, I'm surprised they never jumped on that. Made like iconic Survivor figures, Funkos. I know Todd Herzog makes custom ones. He's a Survivor player. You'll see him in the future, but he makes custom Survivor Funkos. But because Survivor, especially early on, really tried to like throw in whatever they could to make an extra buck. Like they had like Survivor the board game, Survivor DVD strategy game, all sorts of stuff. So it's like, I'm surprised they didn't capitalize on the figure market.
Yeah,
it's more of a thing nowadays than it was in the 2000s, though.
Yeah,
adults collecting figures is more of a these day thing.
Yeah,
but still, I'm like, I thought that would have happened at some point. I would have bought a BB action figure. And because there's a point they're building this shelter and BB like grabs Greg by like his hair and shorts and is like holding him up. Why? I don't know.
I guess that's the replacement of like a crane.
But like holding him by the hair and shorts, you couldn't just like get on my back or my shoulders or... it's such an odd thing to see. But BB like makes chopsticks, which is like cool. He's trying to make himself useful, but when he hands them out, he's like, "Now don't go breaking or losing them because I'm not making these again." And it's like, all right, well, you've already undid anything that you just
one thing that you just did.
He can't help himself but to be an asshole. And there's a lot of talk about Rich being gay, which is not great. Like Sue keeps calling it like a lifestyle. She's like, I don't agree with that lifestyle choice, which is like not how we describe that.
Yeah. I also think it's interesting because like,
but this is 2000.
There is a lot of gay talk for like about Rich, but it's hardly ever him. Because, like, there's one moment where Dirk is, like, he's always talking about this stuff and doing this and da-da-da. And it's, like, not once have I, like, heard him say it, like, more than, like, 2 times.
I think a lot of the times people talk to him about it. Like, it's like, because he brought it, he waited a little bit because he never wants that to be the thing people know him as.
But he's like, yeah, I'm open about it. I'll talk
like,
about
yes, I'm gay. And then everyone's like, so, like, and then they have
what
all
does
these
that mean?
Yeah. And it's like, so yeah, Rich never really, it's not a thing it defines him.
Yeah, it's not a thing he would bring up, like, every chance that he got. It was something that people would question, but it wasn't ever him being like, oh, this is me and this is my whole personality.
And then, like, yes, if people are sharing sex stories and he contributes to the conversation, it's probably with a male.
It's like, I can't help it.
That's just how that works.
You already know where this is going.
But, like, if everyone else is talking about it, he should be able to contribute to the conversation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Dirk is very bigoted. But there's, like, this whole segment, in which, again, would never happen in modern-day television.
Yeah. But
everyone's just, like, talking about the concept of homosexuality. And it's, like, such an odd thing to see now.
Yeah.
And it's not something that was brought up with Sonia, but only Rich. But Sonia also wasn't around very long.
Yeah. I mean, it was like
I'm sure
3 days.
They would have brought it up, too, about her. But I just think it's very jarring to see on modern television. So
there's just certain times where you're just like, oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Because that's when Rudy has the line about, like, you know, I'm working with Rich, not in a homosexual way.
Yeah. Which a lot of people talk about their friendship, too. And how, like, it seems weird. But it's like, why can't they...
It was kind of unheard
friends.
Of. Because it's, like, an older...
I know, it's 2 different generations.
Yes, and like, Rudy being such a product of his.
Yeah.
But Rich is also, like, not really a conventional... guy. Like, he loves to have conversations that he doesn't agree with.
Yeah.
He's always open for, like, discussion about things, and, like, Rich isn't like the average
Joe.
Exactly. He's very unique.
Yeah.
With how he approaches all sorts of conversations.
Yeah.
And really is a good first narrator for Survivor as well. So the show, again, they don't know what they want. They don't know what is going to work. But it seems like they really wanted a romance on this season.
Well, I mean, I know whenever they were merging the tribes and they did, like, that little, like, candlelit dinner with Sean and Jenna, and she's like, they're pushing so hard for it to be romantic.
But even, like, Colleen and Greg are hanging out because they're closer in age than a lot of the people at Pagong and, like, have the most in common. And so they're just going off, hanging out, and everyone's like, so what's going on there? And then they make a joke, like, oh, yes, we're having sex all the time. And everyone's like, really?
Yeah.
And it's like, no. We're joking. But they always, they put it in the episodes. And the reunion, people keep asking them about it. And it's like, they did date after Survivor.
Yeah.
But that was not a thing on Survivor.
Yeah, it's also like, are you really gonna blame someone for, like, wanting to have, like, a connection with someone while you're stranded on an island for, like, what, like...
39 days.
Long time.
They were on the island for probably... 20.
Yeah.
But also, they were in the jury, so they still spent that time together at Ponderosa.
But yeah, it's like, you don't have to make everything, like, sexual, but, like, you can have those, like, friendship
but again,
like, emotional connections.
The producers were just trying to be like, ooh, this is gonna, like, get ratings if we have a romance. But they tried to force it, and nobody...
And
plus, no one really wants
it.
to hook up when you haven't showered, or, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You're all gross.
It's like, I'm sticky, I'm sweaty.
And it's like, yeah, and we haven't brushed our teeth. Like, no, that's not exactly like Big Brother has way more romances because you're in a house.
Yeah. You have all the necessities that you need.
Yes, and you're in that house. In Survivor, you have more space. You're gross. We've only seen Survivor couples on the show a couple of times. because it's not the ideal hooking up method for a lot of people.
Also, a lot of people aren't going to be like, yeah, I'm going to go on Survivor to find like a love connection.
Yeah. This isn't like The Bachelor or Love Island or something like that, you know?
So if you wanted to do that, just go on any of the 50 like love reality TV
at
shows.
the time, those weren't like The Bachelor was a thing, but that was about it. Now there's like 80 shows about people hooking up in various locations. So pick your poison nowadays.
Yeah.
But they play the newly stranded game where it's Greg trying to like make everybody have some fun and kind of, get out of the monotony. Because Pagong is very much the tribe that's like free-spirited.
We're
besides
here to have
BB.
a good time.
And then Tagi is like, we work all the time and we're
we're tired.
Business. Like, and it's interesting how it shook out for both tribes.
Which, I mean, we see how it turns out.
Yes. But it could have gone like someone from Pagong very much could have won this game.
Yeah.
It took a lot of bad moves in a row for the Tagi 4 to be able to pull this thing out.
Yeah.
So this is something. Sean is an interesting character to talk about because Sean came onto the show wanting to be like America's sweetheart. Everyone loves Sean. He wanted to get like his own show out of doing the show. And to me, and I think to a lot of people, he comes off as America's idiot.
Yeah.
Because he may be the dumbest doctor I've seen on television.
He says a lot of things that are just like, are you...
He says a lot of politically incorrect things, but also he just says a lot of very dumb things.
Are you sure about that?
But one of the things that he does on the show that is remembered is the Super Bowl 2000, because Sean and Dirk want to be the fishermen because they're like the manly men.
Manly men.
So Sean makes this like pole out of wood, and it seems to like literally scare all the fish away. Because him and Dirk go out for like hours at a time and don't get a single thing. But he won't give up on it. This super pole. He's like, it'll work. It's like, no, Sean, it's not working. And it's okay. I would probably be a shitty fisherman too. It's okay. Know your strengths. You're a doctor.
There's already somebody getting fish.
Well, at this point, Rich hadn't really done that yet because they hadn't won the spear.
I see.
But after like so many days of not catching anything.
Well, yeah, and I mean, Sue is like, that's just a waste
You're
of
wasting
time.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's not a waste of time. And she's, did you catch anything? No. Then it's a waste of time.
We talked about BB washing the clothes and the drinking water. And BB even talks about wanting to throw the challenge. He says, maybe we do, which is the first time it's ever talked about. This doesn't happen this season, but this is something that will come up other times in Survivor. Do we want to throw the challenge? Because BB's thinking at this point, we vote out Ramona. We get rid of Ramona. Which probably would have happened had BB not been such an asshole.
He just...
Because she was still really sick at this time. It would have just been a mercy kill.
Yeah.
And it's kind of bad if you get voted out over the person who can't get out of the shelter.
They're like, you know what? We'll stick with her for a little bit longer. We just want you to leave.
We can deal with her.
But you not getting along with everyone constantly is getting on our nerves.
So we get what will become like a Survivor thing for quite a few seasons, which is the eating challenge. But this one is very tame compared to where we're going to end up going for some of these seasons. It's just beetle larvae that they're eating. So it's just like the little wiggly worms that they have to eat. Stacy's kind of a beast at this challenge, and Jervis is really bad. Jervis does cost Pagong this challenge. Tagi does win.
Which, I mean, to be fair, Stacy didn't want to do it like as much as Jarvis didn't want to do it.
But she was good at putting it back.
She just went ahead and she was like, you know what, if I'm going to do it, I have to do it like full
Yeah, that's the thing. You have to just throw it in your mouth try to swallow, like, you want to chew it so it's not alive still.
Yeah, it's not, like, wiggling down
You
your
don't want to
throat.
be like Matt in season 6 and swallow things that are alive.
Sure, I'm gonna enjoy watching that.
Machete Matt, it's a thing. I can't wait for season 6. It's one of my favorite seasons. But Jervis like psychs himself out. But again, we'll see a lot with Jervis. He'll make a lot of mistakes, but because he's so likable and like charming, he gets away with a lot. Because really, in most Survivor seasons, he clearly cost them this challenge. Mm-hmm. He would get voted out. But Jervis going home isn't even remotely a concept.
I mean, especially when you got BB.
It's Ramona or it's BB. That's it. That is the only ones being talked about. Jervis completely avoids being talked about.
He gets talked about later, but we'll get to that later.
Not even remotely close on this one.
Yeah. And
even later, he should have been the one to eat the bullet and does it.
Yeah, and then they choose Joel over him because they're like, we don't want to hear you mansplain anything to us anymore.
But the vote shakes out. BB is the one voted out, and there's even talks that he wanted to get voted out. Because basically he was so over how he wasn't happy with how everything was going, and wanted to have a helicopter come pick him up. And he was like, oh, I'm just going to quit. And they're like, well, you can't quit because like, if you quit, you have to say you quit. And he's like, well, I'm not going to say that. And they're like, well, we can't just have you disappear one episode and everyone not know what happened.
Yeah.
And we're not going to say that, you know, we're not going to cover for you.
Yeah.
And so he goes through the motions of getting voted out, but asked everyone to vote him out. Because he essentially threw a tantrum that he wasn't getting his way. But even though, you know, he asked to get voted out, Greg still votes out Ramona. He's the only other vote for Ramona besides BB. Which is interesting. There's a lot of things that Greg does that are interesting.
He likes to keep you guessing.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times it's hard to understand if he's being serious or not. Like, he has a very good straight face.
Yeah.
And, like, even to this day, there's some parts of Greg's game that we don't know. And he's never come out and said anything. So we'll probably never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, everyone else voted for BB. He got his way, and he doesn't have to play Survivor anymore. And now camp at Pagong can be very chill.
Yeah.
So heading into episode 3, Sean's like, oh, since I can't catch a fish, it must be impossible to catch fish. There must not be very many fish. And Stacy and Kelly are trying to make a deal with Sue about taking out Rudy and Rich. But again, it's Sue not liking Stacy. Sue likes Kelly. We'll see that later. For most of the season, that Sue and Kelly get along.
Start to turn at the end there.
And Sue's yelling a lot about tapioca in this. Is one of my favorite bits. Which is like, you're out there catching fish, you're trying to catch fish. You should be getting tapioca with the rest of us. It's such a fun. Sue angry is fun television.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Pagong finds the mud pit. And there's this whole bit, and because it's like BB's gone, or else he probably would have yelled at them for this. But they're just like sitting in the mud pit, having a good time. Meanwhile, everyone at Toggy's looking for tapioca and trying to fish. And again, there's always an interesting like dichotomy between the tribes of this season. It's not as much in subsequent seasons, but there is a lot of differentials.
Which, I mean, it is good to have a balance of both, but there were two completely different sides. There was
far left and far right.
Yeah.
And Dirk's whole character arc really is that he is Christian. He brought a Bible. He talks about the Bible all the time. He doesn't like gay people, and he's a virgin. Those are the 3 things we know about Dirk. Even now. That's it. And he's a farmer. That's it. That's what we know. And you can get that from like 2 minutes of but in every episode that he's in, which are 5, that's all he talks about. He talks about not agreeing with Rich's lifestyle choice. Heavy quotations on that phrase. Him not liking Rich talking about homosexual things. He quotes the Bible, and he has a crush on Kelly, which is not reciprocated at all, but Kelly feels so bad that she's like, I feel sorry. It's like someone having a crush on their babysitter. Like, that's how Kelly looks at Dirk.
She's like,
oh, that's nice. He's a nice kid.
Yeah, I feel like Dirk lasted a lot longer than I thought he would, but also Toggy won a few, like, immunity challenge, so they didn't have to go.
But it was pretty split.
For, like, a couple of...
Like, they trade off.
Yeah.
Every time, which also does not happen very often down the stretch. But yeah, Dirk does last a lot longer than, like, in a lot of other seasons. Because really, this would be... Everyone's annoyed at his Bible talk. Rudy has that line about, like, I'm religious and all, but the only thing the Bible's good for out here is toilet paper. Again, beautiful Rudy Bosch quote. But, yeah, it's so funny because Dirk, the only person Dirk really has is Sean, but then subsequently the only person Sean has is Dirk.
Yeah.
But they kept them together a lot longer, like, for 2 votes.
Yeah.
Sonia being for the betterment of the tribe, and Stacy being honestly a pretty good move on Rich and Sue's end because that freed up Kelly.
Yeah. And also you don't have somebody bad-mouthing Rudy for the rest of the show.
So we get the first reward challenge, which is essentially just go get this chest in the water and bring it back. Again, it's very simple. Toggy wins and Rich gets his fishing equipment, which will come in handy. And really, this is a reward that is, like, for a while, like, the one everyone wants to win, because fishing equipment is very crucial when, especially in the later seasons, when all you have is rice.
Yeah.
Or occasional fruit you find. Like, this is big to have meat. So Rich catches, like, the manta rays, and Sean's ego gets hurt real bad. Because not only did someone else get fish, but it was the gay guy. Like, really, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Is that Sean and Dirk are unhappy that Rich, the gay guy, the overweight guy, succeeded where they failed.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I don't think anyone would be able to make that rod work.
No, that pole was completely useless.
It was just a piece of wood, and then, like,
a very large piece of wood.
Yeah. They must have had, like, some sort of string attached to it.
Mm-hmm. Cause what else would they got
use?
String with, like, their boxes and shit that they got from the boat.
But it's like, I don't know what they thought was gonna happen with that. You can't just, like, make a fishing rod without materials to make a fishing rod.
Yeah, like with fishing line, because it probably would have broke very easily if a fish did, for some reason, choose to bite nothing. But yeah, so Sean and Dirk are really salty. Sean especially, very salty about this. He's like, hey, can we even eat rays? Like, yeah, rays are... Can you catch a fish, though? And it's like, yes, rays are just fine.
You don't have to eat it if you don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's just a lot of bitching the whole time as Rich is providing. Rich enjoys it because Rich is a cocky guy. Mm-hmm. He's not afraid to say that. So this kind of feeds his own ego, being like, I'm the provider, and the strategist. Like,
he likes to be needed and useful.
Because he'll even say later, like, oh, maybe since they burnt this, I'm gonna catch less fish and they'll appreciate it more. Like, he really plays with this a lot. But
then at that point, Sue and Kelly start, like, going out and catching fish and everything.
He's not the only one that's able to catch fish, but again, he will make the big deal out of it. Yeah. He will make sure you know that he caught fish.
Yeah.
And I guess the producers are telling the tribes what are happening at the other camps, which does not happen at all in later seasons, because Pagong knows that Toggy has fish, which there's downtime at challenges. Maybe it got mentioned, like, on the mats.
Yeah.
But, like, there's no reason they should know this. Besides, someone had to say something.
Yeah, I'm sure they were trying to do that to get, like, a little bit of like a
reaction.
Yeah.
But, again, this doesn't happen in later seasons. There is talk at Mats between tribes, but the producers shouldn't be telling anyone what's happening at the other camp. So we get this immunity challenge, which is like this SOS, like they have to carry someone on a stretcher kind of deal. It's like it's a literal survival exercise.
Because aren't they like hanging in a tree?
Yeah.
With like parachutes.
It's like a whole like setup. It's literally like if you were taking like a search and rescue course. Yeah. You would probably run this exercise.
Find the person, get them down.
Get them on the stretcher, get them to say, all that business. Pagong wins. And they get to walk down this trail to get again, it's like such a dumb thing. And going into this, it's either Rudy or Stacy. And Rudy, again, is like, I am very aware. I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Stacy, on the other hand, completely not aware that she's in any danger. And then Kelly gets the line, which will become like reality show. My dog just entered the room, in case you're wondering. It becomes like standard reality show quote, which is like, I didn't come here to make friends. But it's funny that Kelly is the first person in reality history to say this line because she
changes her mind a little bit later.
But she is the first person in the history of reality television to say, I'm not here to make friends.
Yeah.
Which literally every single season has someone, if not multiple people, say it. It's okay, Leia's on like every podcast I do in some way or form. So the vote comes out 5-2. Stacy is taken out here. And also there's like heavy rain at this tribal, and it's just funny to see Jeff with like, this wet paper trying to like pull it. Because like in later tribals, they do have like a little bit of coverage.
Yeah.
But everyone's just getting poured on. And so he's trying to like be like peel and be like, this is what this one says.
The ink's probably like bleeding everywhere. He's like, I think this is what this says.
Well, I think it's a Sharpie.
Probably.
That they use. Because it's like a big fat marker.
Like an expo marker.
But we don't ever see the brand because it's not sponsored.
Yeah. Not in the first season, definitely.
But Kelly and Stacy are the only ones that vote for Rudy. Everyone else, even Sean and Dirk, vote Stacy, which is kind of surprising. Maybe their thought was that Stacy and Kelly are close.
Yeah.
So we eliminate that. But yeah, I just found that odd that somehow Sean and Dirk knew where to vote because they don't ever know what's going on. So the hardest thing on Survivor for people is rain because there is no way to get out of it. Yeah. You're just wet and cold for an extended period of time. So for a lot of people, that's like the worst part about Survivor. It's the hardest days are the rainy days because there's just no end to it.
Yeah.
You're in damp clothes, just like hoping rain stops.
Yeah.
And also they have sand fleas in this season, which suck.
Yeah.
Pagong floods. So Gretchen is taking charge, even though Joel's like, well, we could just read it. And she's like, no, we need to put it in the woods to be away from the beach.
There's more coverage in the woods.
So Gretchen's like, I don't care if you go or not. I'm going to the jungle.
Yeah.
But so they start building a new shelter. Jenna's like, oh, it's fun. We're moving. And Jenna's very bubbly in this season. And her second season is very much not that. So it's interesting to see her be like the cutesy, bubbly person. Because like I said, it's different in All Stars. We see Greg's coconut phone, which comes through in a lot of episodes where he has like this coconut that he takes calls on. And kind of like Greg's always looking for the joke and have fun with things. Everyone loves Greg though. Like he's really probably had Pagong taking control at the merge. Greg probably wins the game.
Yeah.
I don't really see Greg or Gretchen probably end up in the end.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's interesting that split. The alternate universe where I guess the take for season 2 is be goofy.
Yeah.
And be social. And that's how you win Survivor, which probably makes a completely different show.
Yeah.
Out of what we end up getting. Sue talks about tapioca some more. And Sean decides he's going to spend the day making a bowling alley. And Sue is pissed. Because he makes the lanes and some balls out of coconuts and everything. Meanwhile, everyone else is working, trying to get food. But Sean's like, hey, they don't need me out there doing stuff. You gotta have fun out here. Sean should have been on Pagong. He was built for that tribe.
He would have loved it there.
Yeah. So we get a distress signal reward where they have to make a thing to be seen from the sky.
Big SOS thing.
Toggy has Toggy is groggy with the big arrow. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Pagong just has a smiley face. So again, very different approaches.
Yeah.
To things. Also, I think everyone had rain jackets in this season because they all had the yellow.
Yeah.
So again, they were given rain jackets.
Was it Toggy or Pagong who used themselves
Toggy,
as
because they're moving with the rain jackets on, so it's easier to see.
Yeah.
And Rich had the big arrow in the water. So obviously theirs was more practical. Yeah. But again, they gave these contestants rain jackets. No one gets rain jackets in the other seasons.
They're really coddling these people.
When you get rained on, you just got fucking rained on.
You're gonna get wet. Don't worry about it.
Which, not saying they're still miserable. The rain jackets only do so much. But again, they don't even have that in subsequent seasons. They did get quite a few stuff. So Toggy gets the care package. But also before that, they sent Jenna and Dirk on stuff they would want. Dirk wanted a knife and Jenna wanted a spice rack. And when Dirk talks about the knife, he's this big juicy fillet knife. I'm a little concerned about Dirk when he's talking about the knife. And there was a joke Kelly made about blowing up condoms. And he's I just didn't think that was very classy. And it's shut the fuck up, Dirk. He's the worst. I hate him so much.
He is quite the character.
And you don't see that in later seasons.
Yeah.
And Ramona is trying in this episode. She's feeling better. She's trying to contribute. Her and Jenna kind of strike up a friendship. But I think the thing is it's
too little
too late. We're already 3 votes deep in this game.
Yeah.
It's past time to where you can make up ground.
Yeah.
Especially now that BB's gone. You have no buffer.
Yeah.
So Rich pitches the idea of the alliance. Essentially 4, because there's 7 people in their tribe now.
Yeah.
Or 6. Because Stacy's gone. So 4 people, if we stay together, can probably run the gambit. Mm-hmm. Depending on how the votes, the immunities shake out. Mm-hmm. Because even, I think they knew a merger was going to happen somewhere. So I think he was saying that the 4 of us, even if we lose every tribal, we can probably go in with the 4 of us.
Yeah.
And so he approaches Rudy, obviously, Sue, and Kelly. Obviously, Sean and Dirk probably wouldn't go for it. And also, he didn't really want to work with them.
Yeah.
So it just made sense that everyone else kind of fell into place. And everyone else really didn't want to work with Sean and Dirk. So even Kelly, who probably might not have teamed up with them if there was other people around, but it's the alternative was working with Sean and Dirk.
Yeah.
But Sue and Rudy were very much yep, we're in. This is the 4. We run the gambit.
Yeah.
And even Kelly though at first is yes, this makes sense because again it's very simple numbers. It's an easy pitch.
Well, and I mean she was still in the headset of I didn't come here to make friends because she hadn't met anyone her age. She hadn't met the Pagong members at all. So we get a relay race immunity. Toggy wins,
because Jervis gets like lost in the woods for like a long time. And the vote shakes out to, I believe, 5-2 as well. With, no, it's like 4-3. With Ramona getting mercy shot. But again, it was 4-3.
Yeah.
Because Jervis voted for Colleen. Because Jervis and Ramona had an understanding that we're the only two African-American people out here. Mm-hmm. We cannot vote for each other at all.
Yeah.
Jenna votes for Ramona, which is kind of ironic considering that was like her one friend.
Yeah.
Gretchen voted for Ramona. Ramona voted for Colleen as well with Jervis. Greg voted for Jenna. And then Colleen and Joel voted for Ramona, but Joel voted for Mona, technically.
Yeah.
So yeah, Greg again just kind of threw a name out there. But
yeah.
Greg votes for Jenna a couple of times. I don't know. People said that Jenna talked a lot. And that got on their nerves a little bit. I wonder if that's why. But Greg does seem to really want to vote Jenna, even though no one else is aware of it. And then Ramona and Jenna and Jervis voting for Colleen. I don't know what the thought was there, but nevertheless, Ramona's gone. Pagong is more of a random voting block.
Yeah.
It's hard to guess
who's gonna vote who
and why.
Yeah. Sometimes there isn't a why. It's just, hey, this person.
Yeah. So episode 5, Pagong's feeling down. They don't like voting each other out. Mm-hmm. Toggy's still working, minus Sean and Dirk, who are like, well, we're the odd ones out, so we're just gonna sit around and I guess make our situation worse. They're still fishing, which annoys everyone. Sue kind of lets them have it. So we get a reward where it's like a spear, blowgun, and slingshot kind of deal. Sue's like really good at the spear, so she's like, her goal of Survivor was to dog a guy on national television, which is very much a Sue Hawkism.
Yeah.
And it's like the reward is for the fruit that they're hitting with these things. It's like a really weird way to set it up. Normally the reward would be like a basket of fruit off to the side and you would be hitting target. But no, you have to actually hit the fruit.
Yeah.
It's like all the fruit you get just has holes in it.
Better hope you spear what you want.
So it comes down to the spear, but Sue does lose to Joel. And they also get chickens. Which is another Survivor reward constant. Mm-hmm. Because you can try to get eggs. Or what most people do is you just eat the chickens.
Yeah.
Jenna names them breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which is also funny.
Didn't something happen where they like left?
Yes, this was right before
open.
the merge. That a lizard, a monitor lizard, came into their camp and like broke the cage.
Yeah.
And ate like their last chicken. I think they had one chicken left. Yeah, that's something you do have to look out for on Survivor, is that other animals do exist.
Yeah. And will try to take your shit. They want the food as much as you do.
Mm-hmm. It was a big-ass lizard, too. So, and then we get, like, this was probably kept in because of the metaphor later, but Rich is playing with a snake. Like a poisonous snake.
Yeah, he's just throwing them around.
Yeah, he keeps trying to throw it in the water.
And he's like, you can see when they're about to pounce.
He describes the inner workings of a snake and then how he outsmarts the snake.
He loves outsmarting people.
Mm-hmm. But he's like, yes, this is a very poisonous snake. And it's like, why are the producers letting Rich play with it?
It's like, this isn't even part of the challenge. Mm-hmm. You're just doing this.
Sean, there's a bit where he talks about having his first poop. Apparently he hadn't pooped in like 8 days. Because, you have to get used to pooping outside. It's not exactly a natural feeling.
And I mean, also when you've lost so much nutrition.
You aren't eating your normal things.
It's going to be...
It's rough.
Yeah.
Dirk is losing a lot of weight, which is concerning some people. And then they finally decide to go tapioca hunting, but they don't even do that correctly. Like, they come back with, like, 2 roots. He's like, I guess we found all the tapioca before. There's none out there. And it's like, that's what you said about the fish. But, like...
There was plenty out there.
Yeah.
You just didn't know that rays counted as fish.
But while they're gone too, they discuss like who's next. But like they have to know it's them.
Yeah.
So we get like a rowing challenge. And Kelly is literally a river raft guide. Like, she rows for a living.
Mm-hmm.
And Jervis is rowing because he can't swim. So he has to row the boat.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like, so Jervis beats Kelly. And there's a lot of people like, oh, you lost to a guy that can't swim. I'm like, no, that's not what hurts here. Swimming does not correlate to rowing at all.
Yeah.
You are a river raft guide, and you did lose to someone who isn't.
Yeah.
That's one thing. But also, Jervis is probably really good at rowing because he does not want to go in the water where he cannot swim. So, like, yes, it is a blow to Kelly's ego, but not because he can't swim, but because she lost a literal thing her job correlates to.
Yeah, but they kept bringing it back to the fact that
Jervis
she lost
can't
against
swim,
somebody who can't swim. And it's like, yeah, but they're in a boat.
Yeah, if this was a swimming challenge, then sure. But it's a rowing challenge.
Yeah.
And so we get to the vote. Toggy pretty much unanimously votes out Dirk. The Toggy 4 vote out Dirk. And Dirk and Sean don't even vote together. Because Sean votes out Rudy and Dirk votes out Sue. So they couldn't even talk to each other when they're the only two. This is what's weird about this season of Survivor. People know that they're forced with these people.
Yeah.
And they don't even talk about who they're going to vote. And then are surprised when the people that do vote together.
Yeah.
It's wild to me. Like, Sean and Dirk were best friends. You couldn't have talked about, well, we probably should vote the same way.
Yeah.
Because even if the 4 didn't vote together, they're still leaving it up to complete random chance.
It's like you would have a better chance overall if you try to put a strategy between like what you're voting.
But they're idiots. Which, again, still baffles me that a medical doctor can't figure out numbers. Just numbers.
Yeah. Not
advanced numbers. Just basic math.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary. So Dirk's gone, and my enjoyment of the show goes up. Because I don't have to deal with this shit. Episode 6, we're on the verge of the merge. There's one vote before the merge will happen, or the merger, as they call it in this season, which is weird to hear it called that. And we're going to get the Love Tribe meeting the Work Tribe, which will again be another interesting. But if Pagong can win this next challenge, Toggy will be lower in numbers heading into the merge. If Toggy wins, then both teams will be evenly matched. Not that really is going to play a factor here at all, but
it could have.
It could have. And Toggy is talking about that Greg is the threat. Even though they're not on that tribe, they seem to realize that Greg is on the pedestal, essentially, and that he has, even though, again, he does not use it for a strategic benefit, he is the pseudo-leader. And they call Jenna Speedball. Or Sue does. Sue really likes to shit-talk Jenna. It happens a lot. And Sue also calls Jarvis a pervert, which I don't know why. Nothing he's really said correlate. I mean, sure, he might have made some jokes or something, but like I don't. From what we saw of Jarvis, he didn't say anything perverted. Yeah. So I don't know what Sue is talking about.
I think Sue was just rambling a lot, and they were just like, "Oh, this is good TV. Let's put this in there."
So we get a bit about Rich being naked, because he's a nudist. He likes to be naked. It makes people uncomfortable, and I think he enjoys that. He kind of finds it funny that people are uncomfortable, so then he wants to do it more because he likes people's reactions to it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of talk of Rich's nakedness. It's one of the things people remember about Borneo. Like, they talk about, like, Rich being naked, the rats, Colleen and Greg.
It's about, just a bunch of stuff that doesn't really add anything towards, like, the challenges or the show itself.
I mean, yes, they talk about the core four.
Yeah.
And stuff, but like a lot of the things that's remembered for don't really have anything to do with the strategy as much. So then this becomes the overarching point of the episode, is that Jervis jokes about women being as dumb as cows. And somehow Joel laughed at the joke, and then somehow people forget that Jervis said it and target Joel for it. Because Jervis is charming, and Joel is a mansplainer, and, you know, kind of the alpha guy, in that he gets on their nerves more than Jervis. So even though he didn't say the thing, he's going to be targeted for it. Also, Jervis is lazy. Like, everyone talked about Ramona being lazy, but she was sick. Jervis literally says, like, I'm not doing anything. He spends his time playing cards.
Laying in the hammock.
He literally, and he'll do this another time. Like, he does not work around camp. He makes a point about it. But he's like, I can charm my way out of it anyway. And he's correct. But I thought it was funny that everyone talked about Ramona being lazy, but no one said shit about Jervis not doing anything. So they get a can of dog food. Because there was like a note in it. Mm-hmm. And like they're all trying like to eat it. Don't know why they did this. I think they're like, what if the contestants ate dog food? I don't know. It's a weird, again, thing that doesn't happen later. So we get a Green Beret obstacle course. Which Toggy does win, so Pagong will. And it's really no one's fault. Like, Joel does get kind of gassed in this early. It's kind of funny because he's like the
macho man.
Yeah, the health guy. And Rudy sits out of this, which everyone's like, but he was the Navy SEAL. It's like, yeah, that was like 40 years ago. He understands that, like, I'm probably not going to be good at this.
Yeah.
So, good on him for, taking the step down when he needed to.
Yeah. He knows his limits.
And Pagong, they try to talk about, especially Joel and Jervis are talking about, like, when we get to the merge, we have to stick together and vote together. Mm-hmm. And Gretchen's like, no, I'm against that. We should just let votes happen. And Jervis is like, why though?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we just vote together, take them out, and then it's us?
Yeah.
So Jervis does try to strategize. Him and Joel do try to figure things out. But Joel's not going to matter soon.
Yeah.
And Jervis is going to literally be on his own. And so he can't really make it work.
Which he does talk with, like, Colleen about it during the merge.
But again, Colleen and Gretchen are not the people to strategize with.
They just try it, like, one time, and then they're like, well, we failed. I guess that's it. It's like, okay.
So, yeah, Joel knows he's getting votes. Colleen is the only one that actually tries to call out Jervis about the bit. But Joel takes the fall here. The vote comes out 4-2. So Joel and Jervis vote out Jenna. Again, I don't know why Jenna is the one that keeps getting votes. Everyone else votes out Joel.
Yeah.
And Gretchen does the moo joke when, holds up the vote. Gretchen has a lot of fun with this vote.
Yeah.
But so Jervis's chances of an alliance were gone. And he kind of heads into the merge on his own. Mm-hmm. So episode 7, Jenna and Sean are sent as like representatives of their tribe. They're each sent to like the other tribe to figure out which camp they're going to live at. Obviously, everyone wants to go to Toggy. Pagong's a mess.
Yeah.
Toggy's more organized. They have more things. It just makes sense to go to that beach. Like, even just like Jenna, like Rich catches rays and they're eating food. Meanwhile, like Sean's chewing on like sugar cane. Rudy's annoyed by Jenna. He's like, man, she won't shut up, and I can't handle that. And so, like you said earlier, they kind of get it's like a romantic dinner.
Mm-hmm.
They're like on an island with beds
and
wine,
candles.
Yeah, and Jenna's like, no,
she's like,
not him. She's like, I'm open to the idea of someone, just not him.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
She's like, ooh.
She's like, yeah, sorry, Jeff, that's not happening. And then they have to decide the new tribe name, which will be Ratana. Rattan is a kind of wood. Apparently it's on the island, and Sean added an A to give it a little flair, which was one of the only smart things that he said, because that does make sense. And ironically, rat is in the name of it, which, again, correlates to Borneo a little bit. So they get back, and they do, like, a Survivor no-no. When you go on a reward, you don't go back to the people that did not get a reward and are starving.
About how much you loved your reward.
And Sean especially is like, oh, we had like 6 bottles of wine and lobster with butter sauce. And everyone's like, shut the fuck up about butter sauce. Like, we are hungry. So yeah, it's a big Survivor no-no, but it takes a few seasons for people to figure out to not do that.
It's like, don't brag about what just happened, because people are not going to like you for it.
You already got the reward. People know you got the reward. Now bragging about it won't help.
Yeah.
Because it's a reward. You're not immune. And Rudy's not happy with having more people at camp. There's actually a point where like he goes to get up and he like kicks Gretchen in the head. And she's like, Rudy, that's my head. And he's like, I don't care. You're in my space. So Rudy's like, yeah, I can't wait to get rid of these fucking people.
Well, yeah, because now they have more people than they even started with.
Yeah, they have more mouths. There's 10 people now.
And there's not as much space. There's not as much food to go around. So it's just like people are going to get more irritable whenever they can't get a good night's sleep because they're smushed between like 3 other people.
And like they're trying to like expand the shelter a little bit. Trying to make a little more. And Greg recognizes, just as much as Rich recognizes Greg recognizes Rich as the strategy guy. One of the only people that really is like, Rich is the one to look out for.
Yeah.
While other people do get annoyed by Rich and his cockiness and do want to vote him out, Greg understands completely why Rich is a threat, not just the outer layers of it.
Yeah, and Greg tries to get closer to him to see like the insight and learn more about it
and kind of play him a little bit.
Yeah,
he knows that Rich is kind of also a little bit like flirty with him a little bit, not like a big thing, but like but he's kind of playing into it, because if he can feed into Rich's ego and get into where this alliance is, he can try to play both sides essentially. He just never really gets a chance to fully do that, because just as much as he's recognizing Rich is recognizing what he's doing. Rich is
also like, he is the threat here. He's going to be trouble if we don't get him out soon.
And Jervis and Rich are playing cards. Jervis is letting Rich win, but again, Rich is aware.
Yeah.
But Jervis he is very smart. He's always playing cards with people, which will set up conversation, which will get him closer to them. So his luxury item of a deck of cards really does play out for him.
Yeah.
Greg tries to fish, figures out it's really hard. And of course, Rich loves that people are failing where he succeeds.
Yeah.
Then people start sharing sex stories, and Rudy's like, I gotta get out of here. I don't like this conversation.
I don't want to be a part of this.
I don't want it. So we get the hold your breath immunity, which is, it becomes a little more complex, but this does come up a few more times, even in like Survivor Now. So basically the elimination order was Kelly, which again, ironic, Jenna, Colleen, Sue, Gretchen, Rudy, and Rich. So it comes down to Greg, Jervis, and Sean. But Greg wins the immunity, first ever individual immunity. The immunity talisman, I think that it's called at first, which is weird. And so Greg is immune, so Tagi has to change their target. And they talk about Gretchen being the leader. Kind of like the mom. We got to take out the figurehead. And then we get what is probably the most crazy vote split in the history of Survivor, period. Because the vote comes out 4-1 to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1. Which is nuts. So, Rich, Rudy, Sue, and Kelly all vote Gretchen. Meanwhile, Sean votes for Colleen. Gretchen votes for Rudy. Colleen votes for Rich. Jervis votes for Sue. Greg votes for Jenna. And Jenna votes for Jervis. Some of them voted their own goddamn team.
They just wanted to make sure everyone was included.
And Jenna was still mad at Jervis about the cow thing. But Greg votes Jenna again. This is the third time he's voted Jenna, and I don't know what happened.
Is the only person who didn't give, or the only people, I guess, would be like Sean and Kelly. Is that it? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone else is or Greg.
Well, Greg couldn't because he was immune.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, those are the 3 people that would have...
Out of 10. And again, an alliance of 4 in a group of 10 should not have control over the vote.
Yeah, it's like, it could have gone anyway. They probably weren't expecting...
Because Sean's never voting with the 4.
Yeah.
So if the 5 vote together, they win. They get the victory.
Yeah.
But literally nobody votes together but the 4. So it's wild that this works.
Which I think it's very interesting that everyone was like shocked that there was like an alliance going around, because it's like, how else are you supposed to win this game?
Yeah, and yes, this vote...
Because I feel like a lot of people forget it is a game. Like, they're just like, oh, I'm here to have fun on an island.
Well, people voting strategically is interesting. Whereas, yes, this vote is iconic because it's the only time it ever happens. But people voting randomly every time is actually pretty boring.
Yeah.
Because there's no rhyme or reason. There's no interesting way to think about it. It's just a spur of the moment thing. Whereas strategy, you can think about, you can discuss it.
Yeah.
Literally what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't know why they thought this was the way to do it. So yeah, episode 8, pretty much the main focus is like, is there an alliance? Yeah, 4 people don't just randomly vote together.
Yeah, it's not just like, oh, what a coincidence.
We
you guys
all voted
for the
Gretchen,
same thing.
That who was like also like the leader of the tribe, you know, like shit like that.
Like holding the whole tribe together.
Kelly's already having a hard time. Being like, ooh, I feel bad. I liked Gretchen a lot. And it's like, we're already seeing her slip away. Because when she was voting Dirk and them off, it was easy because she didn't care about him. But like now she likes these people.
She meets more of her peers and she's like, oh, they're more like me and they like the things I like. And oh, I'm starting to make friends. And now I'm forgetting the whole reason that I came on this island in the first place.
And then Pagong's like, well, if it happens a second time, then we know there's an alliance. And it's like, no, it happened the one time. That should be enough.
And why would you wait to find out? Like, just form your own, and then you have a shot at doing something.
And so Kelly is like hanging out with like Jenna and like the girls her age, like Colleen and them. And
they all got the matching shirts.
The tribes things.
Shirt,
yeah. So Sue's annoyed because she feels like left out because Sue genuinely views Kelly as like her friend, like her best friend. And Sue will take things very personally, as we'll see later on in the season. So the rice is dwindling, which again, I guess there's more people, but again, they had so much food, they were not rationing.
Yeah.
Like we'll see later. Greg and Rich are still doing this like cat and mouse game with each other, trying to like figure each other out. And Jenna's not happy that Greg is trying to acclimate. But again, if you want to win, you need to do this. So we get a bow and arrow challenge for a family tape reward. So everyone had a tape, but Jenna, who's like one of the only people with like small children.
Yeah.
She's like 2 kids at this point.
I think so.
Because later I think she has like 4 now.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I guess they didn't send the tape in time. So like she's crying and Jeff's like, I will personally deliver this tape. And it's like, it's a bit much, but like, thanks.
Yeah.
Just the idea of Jeff like with this tape. And so Greg wins, and while they're watching his video, Jenna, it's a really interesting moment where she's like, just firing arrow after arrow, getting closer and closer, and then she hits one. She's like, I could have won with that one. Like she's having this like breakdown about her kids. Meanwhile, everyone's watching Greg's sister's video, which is the weirdest thing.
Very weird.
Like, Rudy's like, I think it's incestual. And I'm like, no, I think Greg and his sister have a very odd sense of humor, as we've seen with Greg this whole season.
Yeah.
It is very uncomfortable. And Greg even plays into it because he knows it makes people uncomfortable, and he enjoys that. But yeah, like, we see the whole tape, and it's like, what am I watching?
Yeah, I feel like Greg and Rich have like a lot of things in common about how they do things and how they.
Greg is like a younger, maybe more sociably acclimated version of Rich.
But they have very different personalities, which makes them different.
Rich is more serious.
They all have like they have the same kind of like thinking, where it's like, oh, if I do this, people will see me as this. It's just in different ways.
Greg is more free-spirited and jokey.
Like, I'm gonna be everyone's friend, and everyone will like me, and I'll take like the load off and make everything like, oh, this is nice and fun and happy.
But if Greg ever played again, I would be very interested in that.
I'm sure he would play it differently. Especially, I mean, obviously you have to every time because it's not going to be the same experience no matter what.
They had to have offered him to come back, but I know he's been really out of the
swing.
Yeah, like him and Colleen are the 2 people that are like really hard to like find anything on.
Yeah.
Whereas everyone else has at least talked about Survivor since.
Yeah.
Some of them have played again. We have more info. Whereas, especially Colleen, it's like off the grid. Like, we don't know where she's at, what she's doing. Oh, so they record a video for Greg's sister, and Rudy has that line. He's like, you want us to kill him? This is like only something Rudy would say.
Yeah.
That's great. So we get this like rope course immunity challenge. Jervis wins it. And Toggy, basically Rich is like, we need one more vote to go our way. We get one more vote our way, and we pretty much have it locked down. There's not much they can do to stop us.
Yeah.
Because there's 9, they have 4. But the next vote, it'll be 4-4.
Even out the playing field.
Yeah. Because they know that Sean's not going to vote with them.
Yeah.
Essentially. So they have a lock on Pagong.
Is this the episode where Sean makes a strategy, or is it the next one?
He talks about it, yes. That Sean is using the alphabet strategy, where he's voting down the alphabet.
Which is very easy to just
because then Toggy can go, we align with him, because most of Pagong's names are early in the alphabet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Sean, this was like his scapegoat of like not having to like personally vote for people.
Yeah.
And it ends up being used for the benefit of an alliance he's not a part of.
Yeah.
And again, makes him look like a complete idiot on national television.
And then he feels bad when somebody gets voted off because he's like, well, I hate to feel like it's my fault. And it's like, it's because you announced your strategy of just going down the alphabet.
Because again, he wants to be like America's favorite, but he really doesn't understand how he's coming off here.
Yeah.
And like Jervis is trying to get an alliance together, but Colleen is like, no, Not going to happen. Because Colleen is the most reluctant Survivor player I think I've ever seen. She hates being there. It's constantly like, oh man, this sucks. Like, I don't want to be here anymore. This alliance is stupid. This show is stupid. Like, she's like a literal teenager.
Was she like 20?
Yeah, I think she was like 20, 21. You know?
Yeah.
But she's very much like 90s teenage, where it's like, she's angsty as all hell. Like, she just doesn't. Like, she's like, Dad, you're embarrassing me. Like, Rich with being naked. Like, I don't want to be here. This is stupid. You guys aren't my real friends. So, like, America loved Colleen after this season. I just am annoyed by her because she doesn't want to be here, and I don't want her there.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of times where she would just say something, and it's like, why'd
you sign up for the show?
Like, this is what you signed up for. You should have expected at least something of the sort. Like, you can't just, like, expect to come on here and have, like, oh, it's just gonna be a fun party the whole time.
Well, she's like, well, the first part of the game was fun. We were in mud pits and, you know, building shelters, and now this alliance is voting us all out. But it's like, yeah, well, that's on you.
Yeah. It's like, you could have done something about it. But
that's what Jervis was trying to say. Like, we can still try. This could go our way. All we need is Kelly or Sean, and we got it.
It's like, all you did was complain the whole time, and then you were just like, well, I guess this is what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. So the vote comes out 6-3 with Rudy, Kelly, Rich, and Sue voting out Greg. Sean votes out Greg because alphabetical.
Yep.
And Jenna voted for Greg. And then Greg, Colleen, and Jervis voted for Jenna. You still didn't. That's the 4th time Greg voted out Jenna.
Greg had something against Jenna.
Clearly. But, like, what were they thinking? They didn't even vote someone from the other team.
They aren't even trying to, like, even out the numbers.
It's like, yes, Jervis had a good idea, but against their own tribe. He's like, I guess we vote with them against it. Like, I don't know what was happening.
It's like, just completely join the other
Maybe
side.
they won't notice. Like, yeah, we're also Toggy. Every time I see that, I'm like, what the fuck was going on? But again, I don't know what Greg and Jenna had against each other. It's never talked about.
I wonder how Jenna felt, because, I mean, obviously it had to be her teammates voting for it, because, like, if so many people voted for Greg...
Then it was the Toggy
It had to have been the other people voting for...
So literally your own tribe
and it's like,
voted against you.
I wonder if there were any, like, conversations where she was just like,
Why?
hey, what's up with all of you voting for me?
But again, she voted for Greg.
Yeah.
Why? I get Jenna is still in, like, the Survivor sphere. I would very much just, like, what the fuck happened with you and Greg that, like, it overshadowed winning the game? I genuinely just want to understand.
Yeah.
So episode 9, because at that last trial was the one where Jeff kind of, like, asked about the alliance, and Rich is like, he almost blew our spot, but, like, thankfully we averted the host of the show.
Yeah.
And Rich kind of lays out why an alliance. He essentially teaches Survivor 101. Like, hey, people for season 2, this is what we're doing that's working, and this is why you do it.
Yeah.
And then the people from season 2 were like, cool, and expanded on that.
Let me just write that down real quick.
Yeah, because again, in season 2, very few people come in not thinking alliances are the way to go. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's weird that season 1 is like this, like, moral play, and season 2 is immediately just like, oh, no, this is the game. Yeah. Like, it's such a big deal, but then the literal next season is like, it's part of Survivor. Yeah. It's crazy that it was like that. That there was this 14 episode question that's answered in the first episode of season 2.
I feel like a lot of people saw the first season as, like, they were trying to make it more of, like, a bonding experience and, like, doing things, an adventure, and teamwork and everything like that. But it's like, you do realize there is a point, like, there's an end to this, and you have to get there somehow.
The point isn't to survive and make friends, because if so, there wouldn't be vote offs. There would just be getting to the end of the 39 days, which is kind of like Naked and Afraid, but like this is like a way easier version of that.
Like, the point is to survive your other people that you're with from getting voted off.
Well, Rich points out in the last episode, the flags and the Survivor, tagline has always been, even from the first season, outwit, outplay, outlast.
Yeah.
He said apparently no one else read those flags because you are trying to beat 15 other people.
Yeah.
So, and again, that was not something added later. That has always been the show's tagline. Even when the show didn't know what that meant, it was their tagline.
You're like, that sounds fun. Let's put that on the flag.
It's got 3 O's. It works. But like, yeah, it's become the Survivor law. Mm-hmm. The Survivor gods, as it's referred to in the later iterations of the show.
Yeah.
But, and those 3 things are always talked about. Outwitting, outplaying, and outlasting. So it's just interesting that the first season was such a morality play, but never again do we even have to ask, is strategy okay? Now, are certain kinds of strategy okay? How dirty can you play before it's a little gross?
Yeah.
Is definitely talked about. But the concept of aligning and voting together is immediately good. Colleen knows how it's going, but she's like, we could try to like get Kelly on our side, but like, that's a lot. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be here. And it's like, then don't.
Tell people to vote you out.
And pull a BB.
Yeah.
Have BB come in his helicopter and get you out of here. So Kelly wants out of the alliance because she feels bad. Mm-hmm. But like, you're in too deep at this point. Just ride it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You're already here. Even if you make it to the end of the game without the 4, you then have to explain why you turned on your alliance.
Yeah.
And that, and that you did the alliance in the first place. So just do the alliance.
Yeah.
So Jenna and Colleen joke about a strategy that can work. And they're like, oh yeah, wouldn't it be funny if we like got the votes together and like turned the tables? Yeah, that would be funny, but that will never happen. It's like, what do you mean that'll never happen? It's very possible.
And then they vote just separately.
Yep. It's pretty dumb. And it's again, it's why I hate Colleen so much, is because she has every chance to at least try to make this work. But
then she complains when it doesn't go her way, and it's like, you didn't
do
put
anything.
Any effort into doing that.
But yeah, the second Greg was gone, Colleen was done.
Yeah.
But we just had her for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So, Rudy burns the rays. But they burn the rays a lot. Like, I feel like it's not that hard to, like...
I mean, they're very thin.
Sure, and I guess they're kind of fleshy.
So it's like, it would be easy if you
weren't, like... But they burn them bad.
If you aren't, like, paying close attention
to it. But also, there was a case of the fire not being hot enough a lot of the times.
Was it the ray or the shark that got burnt?
The ray.
Okay.
The shark turned out pretty good. And that's not Rich's only encounter with the shark. We'll see in All-Stars he has a very bad encounter with a shark.
I'm looking forward to that.
It's actually what he's most known for.
Not by me.
Yeah. Because he has t-shirts with a shark on it because of that incident.
Gotcha.
It's pretty iconic. A pretty badass move, honestly, on his part.
Did he punch it in the nose?
No, he bit it.
Oh.
it bit him, and then he bit it.
He's like, you know what?
And then
we'll
he
see how you
drug
like
it out of the water to the shore and then killed it.
Oh my god. I mean, that's one way to assert dominance.
Mm-hmm. He showed that shark. Because
sure
it bites onto his forearm and he bites it on the face.
Yeah, I think what you're supposed to do is just like, kind of...
Go for the gills.
Gills,
that's the best way.
Eyes. Because
the sharks roll their eyes in the back of their heads when they attack for that reason. So gills...
Where they breathe.
Yeah, because it puts water into their lungs and then they start choking and they have to let you go.
It's good to know.
I'll probably cut that out. But yeah, that happens in season 8. The girls catch fish here, so this is where Sue and the girls feel accomplished, and it's a good moment for Sue especially. Be like, haha, Rich, you're not the only one that catches fish.
Yeah.
And also it's a big fuck you to Sean, because he's like one of the only people who can.
Sean's just like, man, I'm gonna go sit in my bowling alley.
So there's like a barbecue reward. It's like an obstacle course. And it's actually like a grill kind of. And Jeff's grilling, which is weird because Jeff does not participate in rewards in the future. There's only 2 Survivor players where he will force himself into the reward.
Yeah.
It's those players where he's like, no, I'm in. Like season 8's hilarious, which we'll get to it at that. Jeff fangirling over someone is funny. But yeah, so like Jeff's gonna grill out for you if you win this reward. Oh, and they also get letters as well. So Jenna's like, please let me get the letter. Because he's even like, Jenna, you actually have one this time.
Yeah.
But Colleen wins, but picks Jenna to come on the reward so she can get her letter. It was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And anyone would have made that decision.
Like, if you didn't, you
that
would
was
just
a dick
have to be
move.
like a complete asshole to not do that.
And so Sean's talking about his alphabet strategy. Colleen and Jenna joke that their names are Zoe and Zelda now. So we get the immunity challenge. And it comes down to... So it's that everyone starts on a different side and are flipping over squares as they go. This actually makes it very easy for an alliance to take out people, because if you're working with people, you can strategize where you're going to box people in.
Yeah.
And that pretty much happens here. But it comes down to Sean and Rudy. And Rudy ends up winning, and Jeff's like, all right, Rudy, you won immunity. Now, go ahead and flip over the rest of these tiles. It's such a dick. Congratulations on immunity. Hey, I know it's hot, and you've been standing out here for a bit, but flip over the rest of this shit. Even though we're just going to have to pick it up and take it out of here anyway.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what Jeff had against these people. So Colleen, the complainer, comes in more. Really, that's my notes about Colleen. I just get annoyed. Sue's jealous of Kelly's bonding with the girls more, and that's, again, going to come in more as each episode comes. The girls talk about working together, but they don't. So, the vote comes out 4-3-1. With Rich, Rudy, Sue, and Sean voting for Jenna, although Sue voted for Gianna. Jenna, Jervis, and Colleen vote together. They do vote for Rich.
Yeah.
But Kelly votes for Sean. Because she just kind of throws her vote away.
Yeah, because she didn't want to vote for her new friend.
So if she votes Rich, she could have tied this up.
Yeah.
Now, it was unclear what ties were going to be. I think Rich said that they talked about it might have been like a challenge with the 2 people who got the votes competing against each other. But how survivors work in the modern era is that the people who got the votes don't vote. Everyone else revotes. And if it ties again, everyone besides the people that got votes pull rocks out of a bag. Purple rock goes home.
Yeah.
So you avoid that. But it was not clear in season 1. In season 2, it does get cleared up how ties work.
Yeah.
And it's different from 2 to 3. 4, the rock thing comes in and becomes a thing. So yeah, it's like there could have been a tie, and we don't really know how that would have played out. So, Rich could have gone home there.
Yeah.
And the game completely blows wide open.
Yeah.
But it's Kelly that didn't pull the trigger there. But again, too little, too late, because they could have done this earlier when they had Greg.
Yeah.
And it's, again, they could have won.
Yeah. And I think Kelly was also just trying to
Distance
not
herself,
completely break off the tie with her alliance, but also not entirely, be involved in it.
She's double dealing.
Yeah, because she's like, I don't want to vote for anyone on my alliance, but I also don't want to vote for my new friends.
So we go into episode 10. Jervis is the new target. Rich realizes Kelly flopped on us. Mm-hmm. And so now she's kind of going to start becoming the target. Not yet, because they need Jervis gone, because they view him as a competition threat. And
they also want to talk to her first about it.
But Rich is like, I don't trust that. because they knew where Sean voted.
Yeah.
Because of the alphabet. And they knew where the three of them voted.
They all know the alphabet pretty well.
So it was easy to suss her out as the one who voted wrong.
Yeah. Because, why would one person from Pagong randomly vote for Rich when everyone else voted?
And Sean's pissed because he's like, oh, I can't believe they used my vote to vote someone out, even though everyone knows where my vote was going.
He's like distraught. Like, he's so upset.
Because he doesn't want to look like the bad guy, but it's like, again, how did you not see this coming?
I feel like he feels used too, and it's like,
which he was.
He was. They were taking advantage of the opportunity because they're like, I know this person for a fact is going to vote him, like this other person, because of the alphabet. And he's also like verbally said a lot of times, like, hey, I'm doing this in this way, so don't feel bad if you get a vote because it's just my strategy that isn't really doing anything.
Yeah, so Jervis is having another child, which this kid is now 22. So it's kind of interesting to think, like, what is a baby?
Yeah.
In Borneo is now, like, older than you.
Yeah, an adult. Been an adult for a while.
Could play Survivor himself.
Yeah.
Which is something me and DJ have always theorized if they do like a Survivor Kids. Like the generations. Because I mean a lot of their kids are now like adults.
Yeah.
So like you could do like an interesting season of that, but that's not what we're talking about here. But everyone is like chiming in on Jervis's like relationship. Where they're like, Rudy's like, oh, you know, child born out of wedlock, which, yes, he's a 76-year-old man. This is not exactly there's adults now that still think this.
Yeah. But
there's a lot of, like, people talking about, like, whether he should have had another kid, and it's like, it's none of your fucking business.
It's like,
how many kids Jervis, he takes care of his kids.
Yeah.
He's not a deadbeat dad. If he has 3 kids with 3 women, shit happens. Life happens.
Yeah.
But as long as you take care of your kids, it's okay.
Yeah.
And he does, as far as I know. So, but it's none of my business. Jervis's personal life.
Yeah.
And it's none of theirs. We didn't need their takes.
No.
On his life and whether he should have had this kid or not.
If he's happy about it, celebrate with him and then move on.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like a key talking point where it's like, this is my opinion on the matter.
Right. Because it's just like, who fucking cares
it's like, I don't need
what Sue thinks about Jervis having a child?
It's like, you can't really, like, yes, you get to know these people, but you don't really know them. Like, you can only know so much. Which is
a point that Rich says in the end.
And it's like, you can't, like, yeah, you spend all this time with them, but, like, knowing someone for, like, a month and a few
on
days.
An island playing a game, you don't know how I am in my real life with people that I care about and, like, at my job and, like, with my kids. You don't know that.
Yeah.
By me.
You don't know who I am as a person.
Eating rice and starting fires.
Yeah, you know who I am in this specific plane of life.
And you have a general idea of my personality.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the whole... People are complex, obviously. Yeah. And so that's why Survivor is not meant to be a personality contest, because you don't know these people.
And also, if you put somebody in a room with a bunch of adults, they're going to act differently than if you put them in a room with their kids or just kids in general. Like, you're going to see different aspects of how they react to certain things, but, like, when you're fully surrounded by adults on an island, you're going to be, like, letting loose a little bit or doing some stuff differently that you might not do, obviously, in front of your kids.
So we get this race reward for it's, like, literally a small slice of pizza flown in by a helicopter, which seemed unnecessary. But people say, like, Survivor pizza is some of the worst pizza out there. Like, it's such cardboard pizza.
That sucks.
But also, though, you're like...
It's like...
It's food.
Yeah, and it's like a...
And Jervis even gives a bite to everyone. Like, this guy they just shit on for, like, 10 minutes.
He's like, you know what? Out of the kindness of my heart, have this
pizza. But the rewards seemed a little unbalanced. Like, Jenna and Colleen got a barbecue. And Jervis got a slice of pizza.
It's just a piece of pizza.
Yeah. So, like, it's not always... even.
Yeah.
Sean gets a cruise later. And Jervis got a slice of pizza.
Yeah.
Jervis should be a little miffed about his reward.
I mean, hey, he got.
But he does
kid.
he gets to call home and, like, you know,
yeah,
see his child, talk to his other kids.
Yeah.
It's a cute moment and kind of a little bit of an insight on Jervis, the person.
Yeah.
Not Jervis, the character on a television show. So Rich and Sue are worried about Kelly because they know she's been flippy-floppy and they don't need... Like, right now, it's still a little shaky.
Yeah.
Like, if she goes off, their numbers still aren't guaranteed, especially with Sean knowing about the alphabet rigging. Things are a little up in the air. They haven't, again, fully locked in the game.
Yeah.
So Sue and Kelly also talk about, let's dupe Rich before the end game.
Yeah.
And Rich, had these two not blown up, it very well could have happened. Like, Rich could have been taken out. Because he is completely oblivious to that concept. So we get a fire-making immunity. Rich wins. Mm-hmm. A big moment for him. But again, this is such a basic thing of making fire on Survivor, but it's an immunity challenge here. It's fun. Jervis and Colleen make shirts about Sitting Duck and Target being their new names. Jervis is taken out here. The vote is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-2.
It's a bit rough.
So the Toggy 4 plus Sean vote Jervis, and Jervis and Colleen vote for Sean. I guess their thought process was maybe Kelly would be inclined to vote for Sean over someone else. I don't know what they were really thinking, but nevertheless, Sean completely fell in line, even though he was mad about the alphabet strategy. He's still, he did the thing. At this point, he's like, whatever, it's not me.
Yeah.
Although there is a lot of names misspells. Sue votes for Jarvis. Rudy votes for Gervais. And Rich votes for Gervais. And Sean votes for Gervis. So, I don't... It's pretty bad.
I mean, I guess it's a hard name. If you're just hearing it, not seeing it written down.
I mean, it's not spelled the way it sounds, I guess. But
like Jarvis.
I feel like you should have asked how he spelled his name.
But then it's like, hey, real quick, how do you spell your name?
The G, right? I mean, he knows.
Yeah.
So Colleen is now literally the sitting duck. She's the last Pagong left. So it's funny that the person that hated the game the most is forced to be the last Pagong members. And because at this point they're talking about going after Kelly. Mm-hmm. Colleen would have lasted longer.
Yeah.
Had Kelly not went on this tear of immunity challenges.
Yeah.
So, because basically they're like, Colleen's dead to rights and will never fight for herself. We should take out Kelly because she's clearly not with us. Sue does feel betrayed. Kind of goes off on Kelly a little bit, like, I'm not going to let you win.
Yeah.
We get a trivia reward for this yacht reward, which again, a slice of pizza, a boat with breakfast.
Yeah. And
actually your loved one on board, which we find out later. It's like, poor Jervis. And these loved one rewards are kind of shitty to the loved ones because they don't know who's going to win.
Yeah.
So they bring everyone's loved one to the airport, wait to see who wins, then say, you're going, everyone else go home.
It's like, but I did all the things.
Yeah. So it's kind of, and even like the person who just got voted out, sometimes their loved one is there.
Yeah.
And then they're all brought in the room and like, actually, you can go ahead and go home. Your person's gone from the game. So it could get really rough.
Yeah.
In that family room.
I bet.
Especially because they don't know each other.
Mm-hmm. They
don't even know the people whose their loved ones they are. They're just all know that their loved ones are on Survivor.
Yeah.
But Sean wins the reward, and he for no reason told Kelly, like, I'm going to pick you for this reward. And then in the morning, they're like, hey, you can bring someone for breakfast. And he's like, Rich, you like eggs, right? Get on up here.
But see, that wasn't even all of it, because not only did he promise Kelly that he was going to bring her on the boat, he then, after he was like, well, I don't want to choose, because I want people to still like me, even though this is the worst way to get people to like you, is to promise something to someone. And everyone's like, oh, so happy for Kelly. And then he's like, you know what, Kelly, you choose between you and Rich who gets to go.
Which is like, puts her on the spot.
And then she's like,
I'm not going to do that.
I don't want to do that. And he's like, you know what? Rich likes eggs. Let's go. It's like everyone likes food that's not just rice and fish all the time.
So Rich gets the breakfast, and Sean's getting a massage, and there's this weird interaction, him and the masseuse. Like, he's like, is my ass as bony as it feels? And she slaps him on the ass. I'm like, what is happening?
Okay, calm down.
But then they're like, hey, the captain's a fan of the show, and he wants to meet you. And Sean's so stupid that he's like, oh yeah, that makes sense, that this guy is a fan of the show that we're currently filming and
that
has not
nobody
aired.
Has seen.
Like, no one has watched Survivor yet. And, like, I don't know. Again, this is a doctor. And it turns out to be his dad. And Sean's dad is just as goofy as Sean. Because, like, they go to get off the boat, his dad falls off the boat.
I forgot about that.
Like, eat shit onto the beach. And he brought, like, a care package from everyone's loved ones, which was cool and does not happen in later seasons. If you don't win the loved ones thing, you get nothing in later
no
seasons.
Love for you.
And later seasons, their loved ones are there. Like, physically on the island.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, you lost the challenge, so you don't even get to hug them. They're leaving right now. Goodbye.
It's like, you see them. That's enough.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun.
Yeah, it gets brutal later. But, and then, so everyone's like, oh my God, like, someone who has news from the outside world. So Sue's like, ask him about, like, sports. He's like, I don't know. She's like, oh, well, what about, like, political news stuff? He's like, I don't remember. And Sue's like, this guy's an idiot. He doesn't know anything. She's so mad. She's like, he's worse than Sean.
It's like, if you're coming somewhere to, like, see your son or something, you aren't gonna be like, oh, here's a lot of little, like, facts to, like, tell everyone.
But I just think it's so funny that Sue's just getting progressively more pissed.
She's like, he has no information at all.
Oh, it's so funny. So then we get like this balancing immunity. Kelly wins. It comes down to Kelly and Colleen. And Rich and Sue are doing commentary on the beach. Mm-hmm. Especially Rich. Rich is having the time of his life. Because he's like, oh, if Kelly doesn't know, she falls off. She's gone. And oh, Colleen's wobbling there.
Yeah.
But then he did his 99 bottles of beer bit too. Where he's like singing the song. And like pissing everyone off.
Yeah.
But Kelly wins. So they're like, well, can't vote out Kelly. Colleen's it.
Which, I mean, Colleen and Kelly were having a conversation on the thing. Was it Colleen who brought it up and was like, am I getting voted out if I, like, jump off or, like, if I don't win this?
But, like, duh.
Which, it's like, yes, but you weren't the target for this week.
But neither of them know that.
Yeah, it's like, you weren't the target, but
you should win.
But, like, you should probably still try to win.
Especially because in your mind, you were gone.
Yeah.
So they go to vote. Vote comes out 4-2. Kelly and Colleen vote Sean. Rich, Rudy, and Sue vote Colleen. And Sean votes Cooleen.
Yeah, because she's so cool.
Like, that was an on-purpose bit. Because Sean... It hurts me. It really does.
Yeah, really.
Like, yes, Sean does make things interesting, but not in the way he wants to.
Yeah.
Like, he wants to come off as, like, funny, goofy, America's sweetheart, and he comes off as, like, this guy's such an idiot that, like, yes, it's funny.
He is very funny.
But unintentionally.
Yeah,
it's like
not
we're
the
laughing
way that he
at
wants to
him, not with him. So episode 12.
Oh.
Yes. Sean's trying to find a way to ford because he knows that maybe Kelly will go before him. And then so he has a chance of getting in the end because he knows, he's not with the 3.
Yeah.
Rudy also threatens people. He's like, yep, my word is good with this alliance, but if one of y'all are lying, I know people back home. And Rich and Rudy are solid. Like, they're final 2, and Rudy is the man of his word. He's not lying. He's not gonna not take.
He's very loyal.
Rich, yes.
Yeah.
The girls are not on the same page. Sue and Kelly get into a fight, and Sue's like, well, I'm not letting you get to 3, which Kelly will use against her later. Because Sue's not happy with the double dealing. Rich then is like, oh, Kelly, what happened? And is like getting all the information. Kind of being the ear to listen so that he knows what's going on. And then he realizes from the information that, oh, they were going to vote me out. And I had no... And he even he's like, I give them credit. I did not see that coming at all. And I very easily could have been blindsided. So I'm glad that I found this out.
Yeah.
Because Rich is a good sport, too, about the game.
Yeah, he's not gonna be like, I can't believe you guys would go behind my back and
no,
do
he's
this,
like, ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's a good play. You guys almost did that. Yeah, if you didn't fight all the time, you would have gotten it.
So then we get the use your body to transfer the mud to a bucket, and it's funny because the tribe who literally spent the most time in the mud are all gone.
Just all gone.
This would have been Pagong's challenge. But none of them are left.
Yeah.
So, and Kelly wins because she uses her hair. It's pretty close between everybody. But Kelly was... And also the girls had their tops. So it was something to carry a little extra. Yeah. Rich was trying to use his shorts, but he never, blocked it. So it really wasn't doing much. Rudy was just kind of rolling around. I don't really think he got a lot.
Towards the end, Rudy was just kind of there. He was just having
He's
fun.
Not good at challenges, but very interesting to watch.
We're getting ready to talk about one of my favorite ones.
Yeah. But Kelly wins reward, and this is... So they don't show this on the show, but originally, the reward... And you can kind of see the way it's edited, because Jeff says, a Bud Light at first, which was supposed to be the reward. But what they cut out is Rich goes, 1 beer... Sean got a fucking cruise. And we have to do this for a beer? A warm beer?
Yeah.
And Jeff's like, what about a bucket of beers? And Rich is like, cruise, Jeff.
It's like, I mean, that's more than one thing, but it's not...
And so then he goes, a bunch of beers at a bar, and you get to watch the first 5 minutes of the show. And you see Rich's line after he goes, that works for me. So Rich negotiated this reward.
He was like, 1 beer.
Yeah, 1 Bud Light.
A warm Bud Light that's been sitting in the sun the whole time we're doing the challenge.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm not doing this.
He's like, why would I try to win a beer?
So I just thought it's funny that even in season 1, the cast is like, that's it? No.
Did you just see what happened?
But yeah, he's like, a fucking cruise? And now you're trying to offer me a beer? That Sean probably drank on the cruise?
Cold?
And Jeff even says, well, this is my beer, and you guys get beers later. I think Jeff was a little, upset.
He was, ungrateful.
But so Kelly, and they blindfold her to take her to the bar, which is
how is she gonna know how to get there?
And even so, you can stop her from leaving camp.
Yeah.
Your production. But this is very much a Bud Light sponsorship for this bit, because the logos are always in frame. Everyone else in the bar, I think this was a set, is they're all drinking Budweisers. No one is drinking a non-Budweiser beer, which is unheard of.
It's a lot of people have different preferences.
Yes. And there's no margaritas, there's no nothing. It's just Budweiser and Bud Light. So what I think happened is that they asked some of the locals that, hey, you guys want some free beer? Come to this thing. Because like Kelly's eating and they're talking a little bit about the game and Sue, and then they watch the first 5 minutes. And Jeff's like, is it cool if I show this video for my friend? And everyone seems to, they probably don't even speak English.
He's like, yeah.
I'm like, sure,
Why
you
not?
paid us to do this, so yeah. And like, look, they just see like the jumping off the boat and the introductions. That's all Kelly sees.
Yeah.
But it's funny though, because that's all of Survivor that Kelly's ever watched. Kelly has not watched her season at all.
Yeah.
Even when it aired. And she lives in Mexico, or did. I think now she lives somewhere else. But she doesn't own a TV. She's never watched any Survivor.
Oh. It's very interesting.
Yes, she's lived an interesting life. Like even like when she played again, the only way they have to get in touch with her is her AOL email that she keeps for Survivor production.
Yeah.
That's it. But she has to go to like her mom's house to check it.
Yeah.
So it's wild, like how hard it is to get a hold of Kelly's Wigglesworth these days. Because her interview was one that I used for research. I did like a year or two ago, and she talked about like her experiences and stuff. Her and Gretchen had the long form interviews I was able to find. And Rich has a YouTube channel, so it was very easy to find Rich talking about things.
When did the jury start? Was that like episode
Greg.
8?
Greg is the first juror.
What episode was he voted out?
I think it was 8.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Greg.
That's
Gretchen was the last non-juror.
Yeah.
Probably should have mentioned that. It comes back later, though.
Yeah.
So we get the Survivor Witch Project immunity, which is weird to see them like play off a movie, and like Jeff even does like the intro.
Yeah.
But the only way this ties in is they have to use camcorders to answer questions. It's just a gimmicky thing.
It's the best one.
And it's questions about like island spirits and lore. And everyone's doing pretty good except for Rudy, who he walks over and he reads the question. He goes,
I don't know.
I don't know. And he goes the next one, I don't know.
I mean, I just love that he still said something. He was just like, he would read the whole question and then
and there would be like a moment of pause.
He was like,
I don't know.
I don't know. And then walk away.
It was great.
And then it would cut to people like actually saying the answers, and then it would just go back to Rudy every single time. He's just like, no, I don't know.
He's great. He didn't get a single question. But he went to every
went to every place. He at least like did the effort of trying.
Yeah. So Kelly wins immunity. And a huge storm comes in. And Sean is voted out here. And everyone, obviously, but Sean voted for Sean. Sean voted for Sue. So, had Kelly not won immunity, though, she probably gets taken out, and Sean's in the final 4, and then is probably cut there. Which, honestly, though, if Kelly is taken out, like Rich plans to, he probably doesn't win.
Yeah.
He definitely loses to Rudy. I think everyone votes for Rudy at the end, and he probably loses to Sue.
Possibly. I feel like
it's closer, but I think unless he sits next to Sean.
It would depend on how people looked at it, because I feel like Sue kind of rubbed people the wrong way in certain aspects.
Definitely like Kelly, but I think Kelly still votes for Sue.
Yeah. I mean, she would definitely vote for Sue over Rich, because she wasn't seeing it as much.
I think Jenna votes for Sue. I think Colleen votes for Sue.
The difference, well, yeah, definitely. Colleen was not even
voting for Rich. She hated Rich and his nudeness.
The only time she would vote for Rich is to vote him out.
And Sean probably votes for Rich still. I think it comes down to Greg again.
Yeah. Which I feel like Greg would still vote for Rich.
But it's close. Whereas Rudy, I think Rudy gets pretty much every single jury vote.
I mean, how are you going to vote against Rudy?
And I think he knew that. But yeah, I think the only way Rich guarantees victory outside of Kelly is Sean. Because I don't think anyone really votes for Sean. Because he was such a doofus. Maybe Colleen, because she hates Rich so much.
Yeah.
But I think Jervis votes for Rich.
I mean, yeah, honestly, I feel like if anyone was up against Rich, Colleen would vote for the other person. No matter who it was.
But Jervis voted for Kelly not against Rich, but because he really liked Kelly.
Yeah.
So I think he votes for Rich instead of... him and Sean got along, but I think Jervis respected the game.
Was
And then Rudy votes for Rich, and Sue votes for Rich.
I'm thinking about the next immunity challenge.
But yeah, so like, there's some scenarios where had Rich gotten his way and Kelly goes out, he could have lost.
Yeah.
Especially against Rudy. But like I said, I don't think anyone beat Rudy in the end. I think Rudy would 100% got the votes.
Yeah.
So that could have also been a very different Survivor path.
Yeah.
With Rudy winning. Because Rudy was also the one America was rooting for.
Yeah.
People loved Rudy. So, and it was hard not to.
Yeah. He's a very likable person.
Mm-hmm. So episode 13, Rich is now pretty confident. Because at this point, he's like, there's really not a whole lot of ways I go home.
Yeah.
And if I get to the end, with the exception of Rudy, I can probably talk my way to a victory. So he's feeling pretty confident. And everyone's, lost weight. Like, Rich has lost a bunch of weight. Everyone's got loose skin. And, they're ready to, when you're living in the jungle for over a month, your body does weird shit.
Especially when your main, food source is rice.
Yes. But then come hell or high water, the Toggy 4 was the final 4. Mm-hmm. Kelly did not want that to be the case, but that's how it was.
Yeah.
And Rich talks about the outwit, outplay, outlast.
Mm-hmm.
Hammers home what Survivor is. Sue's focused on Kelly. It's really, for the last few votes, she has been laser focused on Kelly. And Kelly focused on Sue. Mm-hmm. While Rich and Rudy kind of just ride.
Is this the immunity where they did, the trivia on the jurors?
Mm-hmm. So, it's the Fallen Comrades immunity, which will happen a few more times. And it's basically how well do you know the other tribe people, the jury.
Yeah.
And it's funny to see the polar opposites. Kelly does the best. Mm-hmm. Rudy and Sue do okay, which I'm surprised Rudy did well, honestly.
Yeah.
But Kelly knows everything about everyone.
That's the only time that all of her, hanging out and doing
Came
all
in
this
handy.
stuff, actually paid off for her.
Rich knows nothing. He gets maybe 2 points out of the 8 possible or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and that is something we'll talk about more in the final jurors part. But it's clear that Kelly knows everyone personally, and Rich doesn't. Rich is not a social gamer. He is a strategic gamer.
Yeah, because Rich honestly wasn't there to make friends. Mm-hmm. And he stuck with it, but he gained a friend, being Rudy.
A few.
Yeah, and a few of them. But yeah, but his
because him and Sue were friends for a while.
His main thing was, I'm here to win. This is how I'm going to do it, and this is what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Whereas Kelly was I'm here to win, and then she's well, I met these people who are like me. I really like them. I feel bad for voting them out. I don't want to do this anymore. Mm-hmm. It's going against my moral code, which it's when you're playing a game, you kind of have to, push that aside, because if you don't, it's just going to eat you up like it did Kelly.
And this is one of the only times, tribal happens, the immunity happens at tribal. So they vote right after this plays out. So, and it's a tie. Rudy and Rich vote Sue. Sue and Kelly vote Rich. And they could either go tie again and see what happens, or Rich tries to convince Kelly and Sue tries to convince Rudy. But Kelly's the swing here. Rudy's not going to change.
Yeah.
And Kelly, her reasoning is that, hey, Sue said I was not getting to 3. I'm going to keep her out of 3. This is the only time she's I'm going to be petty back. Mm-hmm. And so she switches her vote. Sue goes out. And man, will that come back on her later. She had no idea, but it comes back.
Sue holds a grudge.
So then we go to the final immunity, and they try to make it this big experience, which goes away later, and it's more about just the immunity being the draw. You want to win the last immunity. We don't need this walk through palm fronds with natives chanting, and you walk over a bed of coals, and you pass the torches of the people that were voted out.
It's like your rite of passage. Yeah. You don't have to
do that anymore. Like, Survivor as a game is enough. It's important enough to win Survivor than to have you're already having an experience anyway. Yeah. We don't have to go super deep. So like they're painted in mud and doing this whole thing. And so it's hands on a heart idol, which is a weird name for an immunity. But you just gotta, who wants it more? It's like the hands on a car bit. Who's gonna last the longest? Mm-hmm. And Rich bows out super early because, and this is actually, I don't even think Jeff understands this at first. But Rich knows that if he wins and takes Rudy, like his word said, he loses. Yeah. But if he takes Kelly and turns his back on Rudy, he loses Rudy's vote and still loses the game. Yeah. So Rich can't win this immunity challenge. Yeah. And not only that, but Rudy is going to take him. He knows that. Yeah. And Kelly knows she can't beat Rudy and kind of has to take Rich. So it does not benefit him to win this immunity. And he knows that no matter what, he's made it to the final two. Yeah. So he just has to hope that Kelly wins this. But worst comes to worst, he still gets second place and some money. Which
Rudy was a little, peeved about it a little bit, because he was like, well...
The pressure's on now.
Yeah, it's like, you just... now I'm no longer... I have to win if I want to win. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, he didn't hold it against him, obviously, but,
But Jeff's still... so you just kind of quit. And Rich goes, oh, yeah, I couldn't hold on, because he's trying to backpedal. Yeah. But Jeff, it took him a while to grasp that this is a really good strategy. Move.
It's like, no matter what, he's going to the finals.
And if Kelly wins it, he's got a chance.
With this way, he holds some of his morals still, with Rudy and all of that. Mm-hmm.
It's the perfect play. It really is.
And he knows that Kelly's going to hold on.
He really held on as long as he did because he was waiting for food. Yeah. Which, oranges, Jeff. Oranges. Jeff's like, you smell the oranges. It's like, fuck you, Jeff. We've been eating canned fruit. You can't pull... Again, Sean gets a cruise.
It's like, at least
get some donuts or something.
Or at least have, a variety of fruits, not just,
a plate of orange slices.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like Rich... I mean, obviously, he knew Rudy was going to take him no matter what. But, I think he knew Kelly was going to hold out as long as she needed to.
She has the record.
Because she proved it, for, the past, 3-4 immunities, she was winning every single one because she absolutely had to, and she knew that. Mm-hmm.
And it works out because, this goes on for hours. Yeah. But when they're, switching positions, Rudy just accidentally takes his hand off the idol. Yeah. And Kelly's like, he took his hand off. And even Rich is like, whoops, sorry, Rudy. I guess that's the game. Jeff, you saw that, right? He's out.
Well, yeah, because when Kelly mentions it, it's kind of because Jeff didn't notice it. She's like, he took his hand off.
Because he put it back on. Yeah. But even Rudy's like, yeah, you got me. But Rudy kicks himself because he knows, I just lost $1 million because my hand slipped. I had a brain lapse because, again, we've been starving for a month. Yeah. Your mind malnourished as weird shit. And so all day he's like, oh fuck, that. I was this close to being guaranteed $1 million and I fucked up. And I know that she's gonna take Rich and god damn it, I was right there. And Kelly does just that. She knows she can't beat Rudy, takes Rich, and also kind of proves to the jury that she is trying to win because she chose Rich over the nicer guy in Rudy. Yeah. So again, that also plays into Rich's plan a little bit. Again, not purposefully in that aspect, but plays a little bit more. And it's fitting that of this morality play, this is our final two. Yeah. We have Rich, the guy who was the strategy and the business trip. We have Kelly, the social person, the flip-flopper, as one of them is going to win this game. Yeah. And you really couldn't have had a better final two than this. This was best case scenario for the longevity of Survivor as a show. And, you know, they burned the camp down. They had the final tribal. Mm-hmm. And this is where the jury now gets to come in, ask questions, be salty.
Yeah.
And they will now vote for the win. The game is now out of Rich and Kelly's hands.
Yeah.
For the most part. They do have to answer questions. But pretty much juries come in with their minds made up. Very rarely do the questioning change people's minds. Yeah. So it's now in the hands of the people that you just voted out. Which is a fitting way to end the game. So they have opening statements. Kelly says, like, you know, this is a game. It's not personal, even though that kind of does counteract how her brain has been going back and forth on everything. I've made connections. Mm-hmm. I think I have the better personality. Rich then says, this is not a personality contest. Why she thinks that you know her. You don't know either of us.
Yeah.
This is a microcosm of life. Don't vote on who you think we are as people. Vote on who played the better game.
Yeah.
And hands down, I played the better game.
And he's not wrong.
And he's not wrong at all. Jervis comes in and says, if you could change one thing, which is a good question. Some of these questions are bullshit. But
well, some of them are just like, why did you do this?
Yeah. But Kelly says the Alliance, even though that is why she is
where she is.
Granted, she never got voted for.
Yeah.
The entire time. But, which is impressive.
But it's like, would she have been voted for two? By the other people who were in the Alliance with her, had she not been
And then
in the
Rich
Alliance?
said, I was too comfortable alluring to the Kelly Sue situation.
Yeah.
So he understands that he didn't play a perfect game.
Yeah.
But he played a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not even a great game, but a good game. Mm-hmm. Jenna comes in and says, 2 people in your place. People ask this a lot, and usually it's like a, say my name. Like it's fishing to be like, didn't I play well? Rich answers this question perfectly.
And then Kelly says, like, Gretchen.
Mm-hmm. And Sonia.
And, like, 2 people that, like, the
aren't
first
in the jury
person that left, and another person that left right before the jury.
Yeah, so you do not appeal to anyone in the jury. Rich names Rudy, who, of course, is the loyalty aspect.
Yeah.
And he names Greg, a key factor in the votes.
Yeah.
So he strategically picks someone who, you know, values loyalty and someone who values, you know, strategy, even though he didn't admit it. And then...
And, like, the respect of, like, I could see you in this
having
place.
won the game.
Yeah.
And Kelly completely missed what she was supposed to say and picked 2 people who aren't even here.
I feel like everyone was just kind of like, okay.
And no one said Jenna, who probably would have been a good answer to the question because she asked the question.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was so fitting again, because Rich is always strategizing and Kelly didn't.
Yeah.
And that was a big glaring factor there. Sean doesn't ask a question, but keeps saying, like, Rich, we joked about fat naked fag, blah, blah, blah. Wouldn't it be funny if fat naked fag had $1 million? That's hilarious, right? And he says it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot.
So much.
And I'm like, Sean, yes, this was 2000, but, like, that word was still not good back then.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm sure Rich joked about that because that's a way to acclimate with people.
Yeah.
But you, the straight person, should not be saying that.
On TV, like, national TV.
And being like, wouldn't that be funny? No.
No. It's like, you're supposed to ask a question.
Yeah.
Sean.
So Sean missed the point because he's an idiot and also says, like, one of the worst things. Colleen says character traits. And I love this because Colleen gets schooled a little bit here. Because Kelly says faith and will, which is fair. Mm-hmm. Rich says awareness and observation. And Colleen goes, it's funny you say observation because you didn't know anything about us in that challenge. And Rich is like, no, you misunderstood what I said. I'm not saying getting to know you personally. I'm observing what you're doing, who you're talking to, and who you're aligning with.
Your reactions. your
and then
intentions.
Taking all that observation that has nothing to do with your personality.
Yeah.
And putting it into strategy. And then she shuts up because she realizes, like, oh, fuck. Like, I look stupid now. I love that. I was like, shut up, Colleen. You don't know anything about this.
Like, also, observation isn't, like, interchangeable with, like...
No, that's social.
Yeah. Interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Like, observation is, like, literally you sit and watch, and you observe.
But he doesn't even go like, oh, shut up, this is what I was talking about. He's like, no, you misunderstood me.
Yeah.
I actually meant this.
He's like, I'm not talking about interactions, I'm talking about watching interactions.
Literal observation. Well, the word I said is what I meant.
Yeah.
Rudy says, I don't have a question. I just want to say how stupid I feel that it's my fault that I'm not up there.
I let go of the totem.
I fucked up. I just want that to be known. And Greg says, pick a number between 1 and 10. There has been theories, and I do agree with this, that Greg fully planned on voting for Rich, but didn't want everyone else on Pagong to not be happy with him.
Yeah.
And so he says this number thing. I think knowing full well Rich picked 7 and that he would be closer to he said his number was 9.
Yeah.
But Greg, again, we'll never know 100%. Probably because I don't think Greg will ever say.
I mean, honestly, I would believe if Greg was just doing that to actually do the...
Because we know he's smart enough.
Yeah.
And then Sue comes in with the most famous speech in Survivor history. I mean, there are some other, like, really good ones. Mm-hmm. But this one is, like... And again, we got this in season 1. It's probably again, the thing the season is known for. Mm-hmm. The snake and the rat speech. She goes ham on Kelly and is like, you were my friend, but now, like, if you were, in the desert, I wouldn't give you water to drink. I would let the buzzards eat you. And, Rich is the snake. He's cunning. He's smart. He hunts his prey. Mm-hmm. You can't turn your back on him. Kelly is the two-faced rat, scavenging and picking around. And, we've seen a lot of snakes and rats on this island, and we should let Survivor be, as nature intended it, let this snake eat this rat. Mm-hmm. Let Rich beat Kelly. And Kelly's like, oh, fuck, like that was harsh. And Rich is like, that's Sue. That makes perfect sense. And Jervis does have a good point, being like, she's just being a kind of a sore loser because she lost the game. But also, I think she genuinely felt betrayed by Kelly. Because Kelly was so good at interacting with people. Yeah. People did not feel good about her voting the other way.
Yeah.
Whereas Rich, you knew he was playing a game. He told you he was playing a game. He separated that.
Yeah.
When you play purely with social...
Feelings get hurt, mm-hmm. people get upset, and, like, things change, like, mm-hmm. very fast and abruptly.
It leaves a bitter taste, whereas if Rich votes you out, you knew he was trying to.
It's like, I mean, obviously the person who is looking to play the game as it's intended, you're going to, like, understand more of their motives, but if you're, like, becoming close with someone and you're friends with them and then all of a sudden they're like, you know what, I don't want to be aligned with you anymore, I'm gonna vote you out. It's gonna hurt more than the person who's just like, oh yeah, I'm just solely doing this to win the game.
Mm-hmm. So then they get closing statements, but both of them kind of just reiterate what they said before. Mm-hmm. They don't really say much. I mean, Kelly is definitely hit by that speech. It's hard to come back from that.
I mean, it's gonna hurt whenever somebody is just fully going off on you for, like, 3 minutes.
So everyone votes, and the vote comes down to 4-3. It's very close. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, Greg is the swing vote, because Rudy, Sue, and Sean vote for Rich. Jervis, Colleen, and Jenna vote for Kelly, and Greg is the only Pagong member that votes for Rich. Mm-hmm. Rich becomes the first winner of Survivor. One of the most notorious because he's the first and also because he didn't pay his taxes. Not in the way he intended, but he's definitely known.
Yeah.
Kelly's the first loser of Survivor as far as, to go to the end and lose. And I think it becomes the story that a lot of seasons look at, of when it comes down to strategy versus pure social capital, a lot of the time strategy will win out. And Kelly even had the competition edge. But in the end, it was Rich that got the win.
Yeah.
As Sue wanted nature to happen, the snake ate the rat.
Yeah.
Even though I don't really view Kelly as a rat player. No.
She
was wishy-washy,
yeah,
but not intentionally like a rat player would be.
Yeah, it wasn't like...
And I have nothing wrong with the rat floater strategy at all.
She was having a lot of trouble.
She was having like an internal crisis.
Yeah.
Whereas if someone would try to play both sides intentionally, yes, they're playing a rat game.
Yeah.
But that's an on-purpose game.
Yeah.
Kelly was just... she really had a tough time.
Yeah.
So they get to the reunion hosted by Brian Gumble, who's also an idiot and a horrible host. Because they're trying to get... like stretch things for content, but they're missing the point of the show. Like they're talking about Rich being a villain, but again, it's like, not really.
No.
Dirk,
not once did he like hide his intentions from anyone.
Dirk changes his shirt every time they come back from commercial. That's the only time thing he's notable for besides the Bible virgin shit. People say Colleen's America's sweetheart, which again is not aged well. Sean calls Rich Darth Gator. Not great.
Yeah.
I was like, Sean, god damn it. Like
just
stop talking.
Stop talking, please.
Joel still gets flack for the comment, and he's like, I didn't even say it. Jervis did. And Jervis is like, shh, this is all you, dude. They asked Rudy if his thoughts about homosexuals changed, and he's like, no, I gave him my word, and my word was good. They show some like audition tapes of people. Rudy said he applied for season 2 because he's like, I'm going to keep going till I win. He did actually apply for season 2, but we won't see him again until season 8. There's a lot of Colleen and Greg speculation, and both of them are just very tired of that.
You're just like, stop, please.
Like, because, the show's been airing, and I'm sure people keep bringing it up. And so it's been like almost a year now where they can't stop fucking hearing about this. BB defends his clothes watching, and like I said, it's not a good reunion. I don't think they knew how to talk to a cast. Jeff hosts the reunions after a few seasons because it just makes sense to have the host of the show talk about the show because he knows what the show is, and he's not an idiot like Brian Gumble is. And that is the show proper, but we do have some trivia stuff, because there's a lot of stuff out there about the first season of Survivor, because so much time has passed. There's been more time for things to come out, whereas like more modern seasons, we're still in the post-season era of it. Jervis talked about having strategy, and he tried to work with Joel and Ramona, and that was true, but he really got a bad shake there, because Joel got booted and Ramona couldn't catch a break. So. Yeah. And that he couldn't find a fourth person because everyone else was just so against alliances. Like you had BB, Gretchen, Colleen, Jenna, or Greg. Like you didn't have a foot to stand on.
Yeah.
We talked about BB wanting to quit, Mark Burnett not being happy about that. So Greg was a nuisance to production because he was bored.
Yeah.
So he would they set up all these like microphones, and he would go around and hit them with sticks. Or like you couldn't take your mic into the water.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, Greg, make sure you take your mic off. And he's like, yeah, I got it. And then he'd start walking in the water, like, oops, I forgot. And so he was like just breaking all this equipment constantly. And they were trying to do these time-lapse shots where they would hold the camera and like speed up the footage.
Yeah.
So Greg would walk in front of it naked, knowing that they would have to cut it, and then they couldn't use the time-lapse footage because there would be a cut. So he would just do shit like that all day.
Just constantly getting on people's nerves.
And then at Tribal, he would pull out the coconut phone. And he'd be like, oh, Jeff, sorry, we have to stop. I have to take this call. And he would walk off, take the call. Everyone has to sit there at Tribal. Again, that's before Jeff became the boss.
Yeah.
Because now he'd be like, no, come back here.
Yeah.
But so everyone's like waiting for like 10 minutes while he's like, yeah, yeah, you can go ahead and schedule that. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, hold on, I got this thing I gotta go do. I'll be right back. And then he would come back for the Tribal. So really, production hated him because he made their job so much harder.
He was essentially running the show more than Jeff was.
Gretchen is now a radio host.
Oh.
She has been since Survivor. They were also told they would have unlimited rice, which is why they ate it so fast, but they never got more rice.
Yeah.
Gretchen also started to cook chicken feed, and then they took the chicken feed away from them. Because, like, you shouldn't be eating this. And she's like, well, we're hungry, so, we're going to eat something.
Yeah.
The camera crew also, like, so this is the first season, so they had to kind of figure out when to shoot, because they had these big-ass cameras back in 2000.
Yeah.
And so it took a while to figure... Now the crew knows, like, when they should be shooting. If someone's going off to have a conversation, let's follow that. Like they kind of know how production of it works, but then they were like, should we try to roll right now, or should we wait till something more interesting happens, but we don't want to miss, like, the moment?
Yeah.
So it is a hard concept to think about shooting, because unlike a scripted thing, you don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Especially in this, you don't even know what the show is. So a lot of the times you're just like, oh, is that a thing we should shoot? Okay, let's go shoot that. Oh, fuck, Greg's naked. God damn it. And, so Greg didn't make it easier, but they... it must have been a hell of a thing. That's why they hired the same crew now, because that crew now knows this is how we shoot Survivor. Production, this was actually kind of cool for the year 2000. So Sonia wasn't out to her family, but they wanted to include it in the show, but they reached out to her before the show aired and said, is this okay? So it's nice that because you really wouldn't hear about that in 2000, about production caring about someone's feelings.
Yeah.
But no, they asked, like, are you cool with this? And then she said, yes, it's fine.
That's nice.
The cast hated Brian Gumble because they felt he was an idiot. Gretchen seemed to have had a great time. She's been called multiple times to come back. But either she said no, or there were other people. Like, when they do returning people seasons, they send out a lot of calls. See who's interested, and then see who they want.
Yeah. So
she's been in the pool. For someone who played in season 1, she is still called. So it's interesting. She may show up one day. But it'd be weird to see, like, 20-something years later, how her game goes.
Yeah.
Because she said, like, I would obviously strategize. Now I know what Survivor is, but then I didn't.
Yeah.
She also talked about going out to dinner with a couple other Survivor players, and she told one of them to leave a tip, and I guess they left, like, a really small tip after this big meal, and she felt really bad. So Gretchen's a great person to listen talk.
Yeah.
And so they filmed this in March and aired it in May. So it was a very quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Or it ended in March. So it's like a couple months later they aired this show.
Yeah. They're like, we need to get this out as soon as possible.
To try to hit the right time of because television, especially, before streaming, was very much like seasonal for the best ratings. There was like a formula for it. Talked about Stacy's lawsuit. So she sued the show, saying that the game was rigged, that production forced them to vote her out.
Yeah.
And Dirk was the only cast member that went with her. And I think it's not because that Dirk was lying, but that he was naive. Because production, as we know now, they asked a lot of questions for confessionals because they want to get the most content and figure out what's happening in the game. So they'll be like, oh, what if you voted this person? Or what would be a reason to vote this person? That way, if whoever goes, they have some sort of content. Because as the game's happening, they're filming, not knowing where it's going. So they need enough things so that no matter who wins, they can craft a narrative. Yeah.
And I mean, they have those little moments at, like, the end of the episode where they will have the people voting and then saying a reason or something.
It's like shooting a movie with no script. You're trying to get as much shit as possible, and then whatever you decide to have, you have to make it work narratively. Yeah. So they would ask questions about a lot of things. And Stacy was just mad because she got voted out and felt that there had to have been something else behind it because of her ego. And Dirk was just dumb.
Yeah.
And so that's why he's the only one. Literally everyone else was like, no, the show was quite fair.
I made my decisions.
Because legally, shows that offer a cash prize cannot be rigged in any way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the lawsuit did not last very long because it was very quickly noted that the show was fine.
Yeah.
It was not rigged. Because like I said, there was a lot of chances where Rich does not win the show.
Yeah.
Production didn't want Rich to win.
Yeah.
Production was worried when Rich won that the show wouldn't be well received because a villain won the game.
Yeah.
So they were rooting for Kelly. So if the show was rigged, Kelly or Rudy would have won the show.
Yeah.
So, she had a lot of holes. For a lawyer, she really did not have a good case.
Yeah.
Also, in the background of Tribal, they actually had like a chest full of money. Like the money was physically there.
Yeah.
And Jeff's like, oh yeah, that was stupid. It's cheesy. I'm like, let's bring it back. It's a fun bit. To be like, this is literally what we're playing for.
That over there. Oh, you see it?
Like, yes, it's cheesy, but it's in a fun way. It's
Yeah.
not in like a dumb way. They also had like a bad experience on Letterman because Letterman didn't like reality contestants. So it was kind of like a dick to them.
It's great for them.
Right. But I mean, like, especially season 1 was so like big that they had a lot of press. But even nowadays, like usually the last like 6 to 4 people in the game will go on a little bit of a press tour to talk about the season. It was more so when Survivor was at its most popular, but it still happens usually if you make it. Even in Big Brother, if you make it to like the last like 6, people want to talk to you about the game.
Yeah. It's like you made it so far.
Mm-hmm. Especially in Big Brother, you were there for like months. Jenna sold her swimsuit on eBay, so even before OnlyFans, she was cashing in on that. Those creepy fans.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Get that money.
Exactly. Colleen did the Rob Schneider movie, The Animal, right after this, and then that was very badly received, and she disappeared pretty much. Like, no one knows where Colleen is. She was very bad in that movie. She's not a good actress. But, like, I don't blame her for taking the role. Like,
yeah.
You're going to take what you can get.
Yeah.
The reunion wasn't planned. They were just going to show the last episode with Rich winning. But there was so much, like, hype and, like, millions of people were watching. And they're like, we could get an extra episode out of this.
Yeah.
So they quickly, like, had to fly the cast back out. And, like, we got to get everybody together.
Hurry up. We got to get everything going.
Mm-hmm. So there was this, like, psychiatric doctor who, like, would talk to the other contestants about the other contestants' evaluations, which is not good. And so everyone hated this doctor. So Greg, while they were in Ponderosa, went out to dinner, which was like a $300 dinner, and charged it to that doctor's hotel room. So Greg, again, just hardcore trolling everybody. So yeah, that's Survivor Borneo. It's a bare bones season. But there is a lot of like historical when it comes to Survivor, like see the humble beginning.
I mean, yeah, it's where it all started,
and
it's interesting to see where it goes from there.
Which we'll find out when we cover Survivor, the Australian Outback. But our next one we're going to cover is The Real World, the first season from 1992. Neither of us were alive during the airing of that show, so that's going to be very interesting to go back and watch. It's the first real American reality television show that ever aired. So because there was no competition, it was just, what if we put people from different walks of life in a house?
Yeah.
That was it. Very simple concept. There was no money, besides what they got paid to do the show.
Yeah.
There was no competition. It's just like, what if people live together?
What would happen?
Exactly. So, we'll be talking about that next. So stay tuned for that. Until next time, stay safe and stay nerdy.